Are you ready to go? Are you feeling frisky? I hope the answer to both questions is yes, because we are underway here. We got a lot for you this afternoon. We're not going to waste any time. Tim Kawakami of the Tim Kawakami podcast. He's going to be joining us coming up in our very next segment. We're going to just get right into what's going on with the 49ers and Denver and a few other things concerning the Warriors as we start to turn our attention to their season, which is officially getting closer and closer. Like I said, we're getting closer and closer to the 49ers appearing at Mile High Stadium. I don't care what they call it now. It's what I'm calling it. And Brandon Krisztal is a radio host in Denver, and he is an insider when it comes to covering the Denver Broncos. He's going to be joining us today. And we got an awful lot for you over the next 3 hours. And then, man, I thought yesterday we had an awesome conversation, a really fantastic conversation with Kyle Juszczyk. And he will be kicking off what is the 6 o'clock hour, which is the best of here on 95.7 The Game. So an awful lot coming up today, including Kyle Juszczyk. If you missed it yesterday, we're going to have it for you as soon as Ray and I are done lighting up the airwaves. Are you ready to light it up, Ray? How are you?
I'm not lighting up anything until I get home.
There you go. Aaron Judge going to light up anything tonight?
He's exhausted after last night. Scored 14 runs. He didn't have any. He had little to do with any of it. Got driven in by others.
Did you hear that they're actually, Yes Network has told Apple Television, your broadcast is so bad, we would like to give you our broadcast crew to do this game on Apple TV. You want Michael Kay, not whoever your... Here's the funny thing, too. Hunter Pence is joining Katie Nolan in the booth. I don't know who the play-by-play guy is. He was so bad I didn't even bother learning his name when I tuned in to the small, scant amounts of Apple baseball broadcasts that I've consumed. But, yeah, the Yes Network is like, this is so bad that we can't have maybe the worst booth ever enacted by a major media player sitting on history should Aaron Judge reach in on Friday night. The Yankees are praying that Judge might hit 2 home runs tonight or 1 tonight, none Friday, and then start it up again on Saturday.
Well, Fox is too.
I bet they are. I bet they are.
No, I mean, it's, I love the fact that MLB is in this pickle, and I hope Apple tells them to screw off, because I want the broadcast to be the broadcast that MLB signed off on at the beginning of the year. So let them eat it.
Yeah, I don't. I want a historic moment framed the right way with someone who knows what they're doing at a high level. Aaron Judge deseres that. I mean, seriously.
He's not listening.
That broadcast, yeah, he'll probably catch it eventually. So it would just be better if a Yankee broadcaster were actually on, well, what is nothing short of the most important Yankee call in, 61 years? That's about, yeah, it is 61 years. By the way, 61 and 61. It's a nice, it corresponds. It's easy to remember. And it's been 61 years since Roger Maris hit 61. Aaron Judge, we are waiting. We'll see you tonight. We might even have to ask Tim Kawakami about that, since he was certainly out here during all of Barry Bonds' everything. And it's just amazing how much more important baseball was in the general conversation of sports when Bonds was doing it on a national level than Aaron Judge. I was looking at prices. Somebody said that, ballpark prices, just the get-in price at Yankee Stadium, like last night, was $8. Over the weekend, it's going to be like $16. Like, when Barry Bonds was sitting on history, tickets were in the hundreds of dollars just to be in the ballpark, worst seat in the ballpark. It is amazing to see the way baseball has essentially been demoted as an important sport here in the country.
The repellent power of the Pittsburgh Pirates trumps all other things.
This has nothing to do with Pittsburgh,
I know, but they're the team who played. Yet, explain to me why the prices were low otherwise. Well, maybe it's because people aren't looking at this as history. Maybe they're looking at it as, well, there's a guy with a lot of home runs. We saw that 15 years ago.
Well, he doesn't have, obviously, as many home runs as the other guy had, but...
Or a series of other guys before that. Maybe 60 home runs is less the novelty than we think it is.
Yankees fans are so territorial and provincial about what is theirs. The 27 titles, the pinstripes, all these retired numbers. They get off on anything about themselves that errs to the side of history. And so I'm just surprised that it's not as big of a deal as you think it is.
Well, that's my point. There has to be some reason, and I believe that it's clearly people are offended by the presence of O'Neill Cruz and Brian Reynolds.
You should tell everyone who they are.
Well, they're pirates. Everybody knows who the pirates are.
Stop making pirate jokes. It's not what we're talking about, Ray.
No, why else do you think prices were that low?
Because nobody gives a damn rip about baseball these days.
I think it's, they've been presented, a narrative that's supposed to say this is history. And in fact, in some ways it's not. It's a nice round number.
It's American League history. It's American League history.
Yeah, and the American League and National League are essentially the same thing now.
They are. Baseball has completely homogenized the whole thing.
Yeah, so maybe it's either that people aren't as enthused by this as we think, or it's the Pirates.
Yeah, who were...
they drew 46,000 both nights, which is about capacity.
Bonds hit the big home run off of...
Mike Bassick.
Mike Bassick of the...
Washington Nationals.
Who gives a damn about the Nationals? Those tickets were $300.
I'm just saying there's a reason why those tickets didn't go.
It's the value of baseball in our culture that is
the value of baseball in our culture. It's the value of the home run. And it's the fact that it was apparently kind of a nothing game in New York. They drew great ratings on Yes. They were bragging about that.
Right. I did see that they had very good ratings. But here's the funny thing.
But if you can watch from home, why would you go to the ballpark if it was priced high?
Look at it this way. New Yorkers got cash. There's no such thing as let's spend very little money going to a Yankees game. So to me, it's just amazing to see in not just my lifetime, but in a handful of years, how little baseball matters compared to how much it used to matter to the overall daily sports conversation in the United States. And that there are so many reasons why. There are so many reasons why, and I don't even want to get into it, because if we talk too much baseball, it'd be boring. There's just no other way to say it. The sport has rendered itself a level of boring that no other sport really courts right now. And like I said, we got some really exciting and interesting stuff to get into today, even though it's the Warriors Media Day coming up on Sunday. For whatever reason, Bob Myers and Steve Kerr were talking to the media over at Chase Center today. We will hear a little bit of that. I know that Kyle Shanahan was talking today, maybe even about a roster too that the 49ers made, and they have promoted running back Marlon Mack to the active roster from the team's practice squad. Obviously, to make room for him, there was a guy easy to move to the injured reserve list. His name is Trey Lance, so they did that. And Tevin Coleman is back on this team's practice squad. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Go Hoosiers. So Tevin Coleman might be carrying the rock for the 49ers before it's all said and done. I saw online a question that, whether it was presented snarkily or not, I thought it was decent enough to make me say, is there something to talk about in there? Is Kyle Shanahan the Jimmy Garoppolo of NFL head coaches?
He's better than that.
Is he?
Yeah.
Because one guy's got a winning record and the other guy doesn't, and it's not the way you're framing it.
No, because I throw out the first 2 years as years when you're shoveling out the stables. In the 3 years in which he's had his players and running the system he wants to run, that record's pretty good.
Right. But that's as long as you insist on looking at his timeline through your eyes, not the actual timeline of his career with the Niners.
Well, okay, that's fine. I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
How much better? Are they?
I would call
their reputations closer today than they were 2 years ago?
No. I think Shanahan is one of the 8 best coaches in the league. I think Garoppolo, to be fair, about 14th or 15th.
Yeah, I would say he's a top 20 quarterback is where I would put Garoppolo. He's somewhere in between 15 and 20, I would think.
Okay.
14 and 20, maybe even.
All right. So
we got some things to talk about. We got Tim Kawakami joining us, and, well, coming up very next break, we're going to say hello to Tim right around the other side of this. Brandon Krisztal, who is, again, all over the Denver Broncos. And if you wanted to have a matchup in the NFL of the two teams that have officially had sort of the weirdest starts as opposed to expectations, there's no doubt. That's what Sunday Night Football is. It's the Bizarro Bowl going on in Denver, and we're going to talk about it with Tim Kawakami, a whole bunch of things, Brandon Krisztal a little bit later on, and then again, after we are done here, because Ray needs to be out by 5:54, when we get into our 6 o'clock hour, the Kyle Juszczyk interview that was fantastic that we did with him yesterday, that's going to be coming around for you, so stick around. It's Damon and Ratto. We're brought to you by BMW Fairfield. We are streaming on Twitch, on YouTube. Behold, it is glorious.
Brought to you by On Deck Small Business Loans. When you own a small business, sometimes you need funds fast. So go to OnDeck.com, America's largest online small business lender. OnDeck makes it easy to apply in minutes. Apply for your loan today at OnDeck.com.
This Sunday night, Jimmy G and the 49ers face off against an old rival, Russell Wilson.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Jimmy Garoppolo off the bench, couple of touchdowns.
This is the Bay Area's sports station.
And their first win since the end of the 2019 season against Seattle.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, baby.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc., subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
The following is an attorney advertisement. If you get sidelined by a workplace injury, the workers' compensation attorneys at Boxer & Gerson can help get you back in the game. Our team of skilled attorneys will fight by your side for the treatment and compensation you deserve. We care about justice for injured workers. That's what makes us Northern California's premier workers' comp law firm. Call Boxer & Gerson at 510-345-2341 or visit boxerlaw.com for a free consultation. Boxer & Gerson, your life is worth the fight.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you may be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
Kirby is your driveway mechanic. They bring the shop to you with brake replacements, oil changes, washes, and so much more. Get $50 off your first oil change with code OIL50 at Kirby.com. That's CURBEE.com and use code OIL50.
Don't waste your time trying to sell your old car. Donate it to Cars for Kids. It's the easiest and fastest way to donate your car and get a tax deduction. Donate online at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your car today.
Come into Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill September 23rd through September 25th for their fall clearance sale event. Take advantage of factory direct prices, one-of-a-kind opportunities, special pricing on floor models, and convenient financing. And save on new appliances from trusted brands like Miele, Bosch, Electrolux, LG, and Maytag. Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill for their fall clearance sale event, September 23rd through September 25th, for the best time to save on new appliances for your home.
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know? A driveway basketball hoop, including the base, weighs around 400 pounds. Something you probably do know? There's a windstorm coming. Something you probably don't know? A basketball hoop tipping over can poke a hole in a car roof like a can opener. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game. Brought to you by BMW Fairfield. Now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. Visit BMWFairfield.com today to book your visit.
Welcome back. It's Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game. We are brought to you by Trimark, which has been partnering with independent restaurateurs in Northern California for over 55 years. Trimark bringing innovative product solutions to help your hospitality business thrive. Visit TrimarkWest.com. You know, you don't need to be very athletic to download the Tim Kawakami podcast, but it might help. He's nice enough to join us here on Damon and Ratto to go over what is one of the more interesting stories we've ever sort of seen develop here when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers and a few other things, since we got a few other things officially starting to come up in sports. Tim, thank you for joining me. And Ray, it's always great to have you on here. I don't know how Ray feels about it. You probably know.
Hey, who cares how Ray feels about it?
That's what I've been saying.
That's the point. Yeah, I mean, good to be on. I'm sure Ratto's just kind of shaking his head right now, but that's all good. I've experienced this, but good to be on with you guys as always.
Get on with it.
There we go. That's our guy.
Ratto, I know it seems too cheery for Ray. It might be somebody else.
Your entire career, Tim, covering the 49ers. Have you ever seen a season start quite like this one?
No. I mean, just from the moment that they brought Jimmy Garoppolo back, whatever it was, late August, right before the final cut, those few weeks that I've gone through until the moment that Trey Lance got hurt, just Sunday, was some of the most bizarre stuff. I mean, even before that, right? Jimmy Garoppolo throwing side sessions on the field while the team is in training camp, and everyone knowing that he intended to be gone, the 49ers intended him to be gone. That was weird. And then he comes back, and that was weird. And Trey Lance, goes up and down in week 1, and they lose, and that was weird. And then now that's the point I'm making. It's like all of a sudden, any other team, you lose a starting quarterback, it's weird, and everything is pressurized. And on the 49ers, it's a terrible injury. They're worse for Trey Lance being injured. The backup now plays, and things are calmer, And I guess some people are mad that I said that. People get mad about everything these days. I'm not saying it's a judgment of anybody's talent. It's just things are calmer with the 49ers now because there's not two quarterbacks. There's one. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. Might be worse than Trey Lance. Might be better. Probably better right now. Certainly, it's the reality. Trey Lance is hurt, but it's just not the same thing because it was an incredibly bizarre story for 6 months now of 49ers trying to figure this out, and now reality's handed it to them. It's now Jimmy Garoppolo's, he's the quarterback for as long as he's healthy. He's had some trouble staying healthy in the past for as long as his.
Are you ready for Brock Purdy time? Are you ready? Are you ready for Brock Purdy time?
I think Kyle Shanahan's kind of tempted by that. Like, he's been hinting about this for several weeks. I don't see it myself. Maybe give him some time, but I think there's some temptation there. Not right now, but they might want to see what Brock Purdy can do at some point this season. I'm not ruling that part out. I don't know. I think you could probably get a bigger quarterback with a stronger arm, but Kyle Shanahan seems to be very intrigued by Brock Purdy.
So, is Kyle Shanahan the luckiest coach in America, the unluckiest coach in America, or just a guy who bounces from accident to accident with a plan that's basically in shards?
Yeah, I'd say maybe more that last one. I don't know. I mean, maybe they go on a run. They certainly have gone on runs with Jimmy Garoppolo in the past. I think they made the decision that they got to be better at quarterback, so this is not the quarterback that they had planned for. Don't know that Trey Lance was going to get there this season either. I mean, I think that was fairly large evidence that he might not get there. He was going to take him a little bit longer than that, and that would have put a lot of stress on the entire organization as they were trying to decide whether Lance was going to get there this season. I just think they made the decisions based on each new set of, clues and evidence, and some of it is, led down the wrong path. Some of it, they tried, they kept, they weren't going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? They got here, there was going to be Kirk Cousins. I keep going back to that. But that is a guiding thing to this. They came to this team, Shanahan and John Lynch, in 2017, that they were going to eventually end up with Kirk Cousins. Then Garoppolo dropped in their laps when Belichick calls him in October 2017. And I just kind of started this whole kind of like, well, what's the best move now? Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, Tom Brady now wants to play for us. What's the best move? Well, we'll keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, wait a minute. Well, maybe we'll try to trade for Aaron Rodgers. It's just each thing, you understand the thought process. I don't think any of it's been wholly wrong. It's just kind of led them down this wild road when I think, in the back of his mind, or maybe not even in the back of his mind, Kyle Shanahan, you know what, if I just had freaking signed Kirk Cousins and not gone through any of this, it would have been a whole lot calmer. It would have been a whole lot less stress. Maybe he's not the greatest quarterback in the world. I think Kyle thinks he's way up there. So as a lot of this is in these little torques and these little tweaks and these little bit of fractional decisions, and they got to where they got to. And it is almost always leads them to Jimmy Garoppolo for some bizarre reason. No matter what, they can't leave each other.
It all comes back to Jimmy.
Jimmy Garoppolo just ends up as a 49ers quarterback. He's just like one of those constants. They can't get away from it, and that's what we're going to have this season.
So is he a brilliant improviser or a bad planner?
Kyle Shanahan? Well, the plan, you can't say like getting your quarterback, seeing your quarterback injured on the field that was the plan. It was. Oh no,
I'm going back to 17. I'm talking about all of it.
I think Kirk Cousins was an interesting idea, and then when Jimmy Garoppolo falls in your lap, you do it, right? I understand that, and you deviate the plan when that was there. And he got hurt the next season, 18, but then he was really good at 19, and we can all pick at his Super Bowl. We can all pick at the playoffs when Kyle decided just to run the ball and not throw it all, and what that told us about how he feels Garoppolo might perform in the biggest moments. It's all fair, but he did get to the Super Bowl. They did get to the NFC Championship last season. I think it's plans and then, little decisions within the plan. So the plan was, last year was, okay, let's just get rid of all this stuff. Let's just go all in on a young quarterback, and that's it. And it's right now. We can go back and say whether that was Mac Jones or Trey Lance, because I think there's a large amount of evidence that Kyle originally wanted Mac Jones and kind of, I'm not going to say talked into, but he was persuaded. He decided himself after, possibly Adam Peters and John Lynch, helped convince him otherwise. You go with a bigger talent. Maybe it's going to take longer. Mac Jones probably was you could just plop right in there and you probably know what you're going to get. Trey Lance, you're going to have to wait and see. And we're seeing that, the evidence of it. We saw it this training camp. We saw it in the game plus a quarter that he played. Just hadn't had the same amount of experience. Mac Jones had a full year going up against SEC competition. That for 3 years, Nick Saban coaching. It's a little different than the Trey Lance had.
Tim
Kawakami plan. They just had to change it, right? They just have to change it according to the way life goes, and it sure has changed a lot because life has changed a lot since 49ers.
Again, it changes, yet nothing changes, and that's what's weird about the whole thing. Tim Kawakami on Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game. And, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. Hey, it's a good thing he's not the quarterback because the next 2 games are in prime time, and Kirk Cousins doesn't like playing anything past his bedtime. So it's good, I guess, that we're back to Jimmy. Do you think that the 49ers' chances of winning in Denver have increased because of Jimmy Garoppolo, or because we're learning that Nathaniel Hackett might be the wrong guy for the job in Denver?
Yeah, Hackett is amazing. I mean, you watch it, you go, have you never played a video game in your life? I mean, you're an NFL coach and you've never done time management before. Everybody can tell you how to do this. I do think the chances of the 49ers winning are better because of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's a great quarterback. Road games are tough. A young quarterback on the road is always interesting. I think Denver is probably better than they've played, and we'll see how Hackett can screw them up even more. But we know Russell Wilson is always tough on the 49ers. But I think Garoppolo would give him, right this moment, the veteran-savvy Jimmy Garoppolo has a baseline that's higher than what we saw from Lance, at least right now. So I think they have a better shot at it. I don't know that they're going to win her, but I think I would have marked it down as a probable loss with Trey Lance, not as a knock on Lance, just as him as a young quarterback going on the road in a primetime environment. It's just different than anything he experienced at North Dakota State. We'll see what happens. If he screws that one up, then he might not last too much longer because he's done some brutal stuff. People rip on Shanahan for some of his game management. It hasn't been perfect, but I've understood it. He always tries to. That's the thing. Shanahan always tries to leave himself options, and sometimes he backs himself in the corner because he tries to go, okay, if this doesn't work, I want this. That doesn't work, I want to do this, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Hackett leaves himself one option. Let's kick the 64-yard field goal in a stadium that's never had longer than a 55-yard field goal. Let's do it at night, and let's do it. It's perfect. It's just those are the things I think. If you're evaluating Shanahan, at least he doesn't do stuff like that. Stuff like that does not happen with the 49ers. Of course, I say that, and they're going to go ahead and do that Sunday probably. But Nathaniel Hackett's a good control factor for when you start thinking about what would happen if the 49ers ever thought about moving on from Kyle Shanahan. You might end up with Nathaniel Hackett. I don't think you want to go there.
Have you ever seen somebody as persistently bad at basic time management as him? And I realize he's only had 2 games.
Yeah,
but I can't.
Sample size there.
Yeah, but let's take the small sample size and extrapolate it out. Has anybody ever been this consistently bad, where he's been confronted with essentially 8 different decisions and has been dead wrong on 7 of them, not because he was unlucky, but because they were bad ideas to begin with?
I sure can't remember an NFL coach starting his career like this, I'll put it that way, where it isn't just questionable. A lot of times it's oh, of course, let's do this. And you're thinking, you know what? It worked out badly, but there were reasons. I go a bit of Shanahan, and I think Harbaugh had a few. And, there's Andy Reid certainly has had some struggling issues on the way he's run 2 minutes. But there were reasons they did that. Didn't feel like the right reasons. But you could argue with the point. With Hackett, I've never seen a coach start a couple games, and you're everybody's screaming at their TV, as it's happening. What are you doing? This is crazy. You have 3 timeouts. You got 51 seconds left. Stop it and give yourself another. I can't remember one like that. Maybe a college coach or something. I can't remember an NFL coach who's theoretically gone through NFL games. You should be at a pretty high level. He never was an offensive coordinator, so maybe that's the problem. He's never called plays in time, and maybe he froze a little bit. It feels like he's freezing a lot. I can't remember a coach his first two games, certainly the first one, which is the national TV game, where it was that obvious. I don't know where you go from that. Do you all of a sudden get better? And when you're terrible at it in your first two games, I guess it's possible. But there's been non-coordinators who've been made head coaches. Andy Reid's one of them, who have done very well. Clearly, Andy Reid's a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, I mean, remember, he was defined by clock management issues in Philadelphia. So it does take time. It does.
It takes time. And, you want a coordinator. I think if you're going to hire a head coach, hire someone who's been a head coach or a coordinator, usually. 99% of the time, that's the way to go.
Tim, more likely to happen, and this is an unfair question because we don't know how the season ends, and how the season ends probably goes a long way to how you answer this question, but you're a big boy, so I'm going to ask anyways. More likely to happen this offseason, Jimmy Garoppolo enters another contract with the 49ers, or they're drafting a quarterback in the upcoming draft?
They don't have a first-round pick. You know why? Because they traded 3 for Trey Lance. So I would say the more likely is that Jimmy Garoppolo is back. Again, let's see if he gets through it healthy. Let's see if he plays well. I think he's going to play. We know how Jimmy's going to play it. If he's healthy, he's going to play pretty good. They're going to win some games, and we'll see what happens in the big game. But even if they win a playoff game and look bad in the second one and people are mad, I think the much stronger likelihood is that Jimmy Garoppolo comes back to the point. I mean, it's going to cost money. I don't know. I mean, they might go on the veteran route. I keep saying Kirk Cousins. He's under contract to the Vikings for another year, but they might be willing to get out of that one. I think it's just more likely they're going to play a veteran quarterback and pair that quarterback with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Then they're going to draft another quarterback. They've expended all their drafts, like all their first-round draft choices. So then you're talking about a second-round pick for a quarterback after you've used 3 number ones to get your young quarterback. I think Purdy is going to be the other quarterback, on the backside, and it's going to be a veteran. And Trey Lance, we'll see where he is physically and mentally, and Brock Purdy. I think those are your 3 quarterbacks next season.
There's been a lot of nitwit speculation about how the locker room feels about the way this is played out. Is there any indication that they've done anything other than just roll with the punches and just tell us who's taking the snaps on Sunday?
Yeah, I think roll with the punches is actually a pretty good way to describe it. But you know how locker rooms react. They react to wins and losses. I'll just put it this way. I have not reported the stuff that, there's locker room, some players who think Jimmy's better, and I just know there's been no pushback on that. None. The players are not saying, geez, that's crazy. They support the guy that's the starter. They like Trey Lance. I don't want to say anything other than that. They were quite, hit hard emotionally by seeing him on the ground. We saw him run over. But they also are not saying, God, it's crazy that people would think that Jimmy Garoppolo is better right now. They're not doing that. Again, that's kind of trying to prove a negative, but I've been around teams when these reports have come out, and if it's wrong, they go, what are you talking about? That's stupid. No way. You would see a leader step forward and say, this is not the case at all, and have not happened. I just believe, again, locker room's 53 guys, more than 50 guys, 53 if you count injured reserve and practice squad. So there's all kinds of different thoughts. Like sometimes you go, the locker room thinks, no, there's 1 or 2 or 3 guys, maybe. But I do think some of the big-time guys, probably some of the big-time guys on offense, were just kind of like shrugging their shoulders. Like maybe Trey's good, but maybe Jimmy's better. So we'll see. And a win or a loss was going to heavily influence that. That's the NFL. They only get 17 of them now. Every week you feel differently because it's determined by what happened in the game. What happened in Trey's first game, not his fault. It was in a monsoon, but they lost. He did not look great. I think that was only going to build, not that players in there were campaigning for Jimmy, not that there were meetings about it, but just the fact that Shanahan and Lynch felt they needed to meet with 15 players when they made a decision to keep Garoppolo, to insist to them, like, hey, let's support Trey with this, tells you that they had some questions about it. They don't normally do stuff like that. They don't normally need to get a pulse of the locker room. They know it. This one was a little less, sure. And just, I think if they'd gone 3-1, nobody would have, they would have, life was fine. They go 1-3, I think there would have been a lot of building sentiment that they have the wrong quarterback starting. Not that they hate Trey, it's just that they want the quarterback who can perform better and performs better in practice, and they know. Again, that doesn't mean there was going to be a revolt. It doesn't mean that there were, instigation, nothing like that. I'm just saying I don't think the reports, however you wanted to cage them, however many players you thought it was, whatever you thought the true level of this, I think there were some players in there who were like, okay, let's see what Trey's got. And we know what Jimmy is. And all of a sudden, things are a little more lively when Jimmy's running. But just those sort of things were out there. I just don't think it's deniable. And it would have built or not built, depending on the record. Now, we won't know. But there was something to this. I'll put it there. There was something to it. Maybe not a huge part of it, but more than the 49ers have had in the Shanahan era. This was the biggest kind of question in a locker room, around players, that there's ever been in the Shanahan era. And I think he knew that.
Tim, let's wrap up with this because we want to make sure you can get to happy hour tonight. Do you have a gut feeling about the Warriors season that we're about to see, and what in your mind is the biggest hurdle they need to overcome to be a great NBA team once again?
I think they need to see if Kuminga, Wiseman, and Moody can play serious minutes. And I mean serious minutes, not just when Klay, Steph, and Draymond are resting, or not just in the back end of the game. Like, play some serious rotational minutes. Don't know that's going to happen. And, we know Steve Kerr plays a lot of guys, but he also gets, a little tight with rookies or young players. Not rookies anymore, but they're young players. And maybe, knocks them down the rotation a little bit. But can they count on them? Are they real players on a good team? Some of them will be, some of them won't be. But that's how this team kind of gets a second booster to try to go after a repeat championship. If those guys aren't good, don't know that they're going to do it. I mean, it was a remarkable season last year. We know what Steph did. We know that Draymond played great in the playoffs. We know that Klay, came back and probably will be better. We know what Wiggins did. But I just think the depth of that team was in question. Then they lost a lot of it. GP2 and Otto Porter. These guys have to fill that, and that's the question for me. I think looking at Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a big, big measuring stick. If he's playing meaningful minutes into the playoffs, I think they're going to be really good and possibly can win another championship.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time, and I'm expecting to bump into you Sunday over at Warriors Media Day.
No, I'm going to be in Denver. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. The man follows the big story. There he is. Thank you, then, Tim.
It's going to be my first Miss Warriors Media Day in 22 years, I think. It's kind of ridiculous.
Then I'll miss you on Sunday. How about that? Just that simple.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
There he is. He didn't even want to say goodbye to you, Ray.
I would like to say goodbye to me, but I have to wait another 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Oh, this is good. This is good. It is weird that Media Day is happening on Sunday. And I guess the Warriors are framing this whole thing as, well, we're going to be leaving for Japan, so we needed to kind of get it out of the way. But, yeah, a lot of the media that covers the Warriors isn't even going to be in town. Of course Tim's not going to be here on Sunday. Of course he's going to be in Denver. You go with the NFL. That's the story. But I'm looking forward to Warriors Media Day, kind of go over, shake some hands, kiss some babies, and then, probably still not get the interviews we're going to want all damn season long. But I'm going to try, Ray.
Oh, yeah, I feel confident that you'll get the cold shoulder that everybody will get.
I do want to get
they're all national figures now. They barely deign to talk to us anymore.
Deign? Did you say barely deign to talk to us?
It's a word.
I know, but what does take me through it?
They barely tolerate the notion.
Okay, the deign. I've never heard that. I've never heard the word deign used that way. I don't want to say you just taught me anything, Ray, but
I probably haven't.
I just heard something for the first time from you.
DEIGN.
Oh, not DANE like Great Dane?
Not like Great Dane.
No? Okay. I had it as Dane, DANE in my mind's eye. I'm going to tell you.
All right.
We have an awful lot for you. Great Dane, a lot of Dane. Dane Bruce. Somebody on Hi, Joe. Hi, City Lock. Hi, Mike Honcho. Calling out some YouTube chatters once again. I even told somebody who was chatting on YouTube to watch their mouth. I don't even know if it posted or not, though. I used my computer to do it. Somebody said, you guys are getting lazy. What are you replaying an interview of Kyle Juszczyk during your show? You guys are out of ideas. Kyle Juszczyk at 6 o'clock.
After we're done.
Best of 95.7 The Game coming up at 6 o'clock tonight here on 95.7.
You want to go yell at somebody? There's a program director. He's got a phone.
No. Well,
1-800-COMPLAIN.
You don't even know. If you want to complain directly to the program director, now is the time to call into the show. 888-957-9570. Matt Nahagian will be screening phone calls till at least 3:41. Yeah, he's still sitting there. If you wanted to talk to a program director in a major market, this could be your big break. You better give us a call right now. 888-957-9570.
Start his car.
No. So here's the deal. Lucas needed to take some time off, family thing. So Kyle Madsen said he was going to stick around to help out. And then Kyle Madsen started doing the math on this, thinking, wait a minute, I'm Kyle Madsen. I don't have to stay any longer than I want to. So he probably got all big in his britches, and I believe is left, which means, you never ask someone to do a job that you wouldn't want to do if you weren't a great leader, which is why Matt Nahagian is screening phone calls for his afternoon drive show instead of, look at it. He already put together the humongous Warriors deal that has us remaining the flagship station. So there's really nothing to do but victory lap the whole damn thing. Nahagian, take yourself a victory lap. Anyone who calls in, just say you're welcome and hang up on them. It's really all you. Thank you so much.
Let's be honest. The wife changed the locks.
Maybe. When we come on back, a couple of things that we need to get into, including a little, I don't want to call it a rumor, but the whisper that Stephen A. Smith heard about Jonathan Kuminga. Steve Kerr unplugged that, saying he doesn't know much about it. And I got to tell you that Jimmy Garoppolo's presence still on the San Francisco 49ers is connected to an astronomical number of things. And I'm not sure if you remove a single domino from the chain that it all falls the same way. And I'm going to take it all the way back to the Falcons blowing the Super Bowl. So stick around. Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game, brought to you by Fremont Bank. Full service banking. No compromises.
Take a look at this college football total in Week 4. I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Indiana won in dramatic fashion against Western Kentucky last weekend, but points may be much harder to come by this weekend against Cincinnati. BetQL has under 57 between the Hoosiers and Bearcats as a 5-star best bet. They project this number at 50.5. I'm Joe Ostrowski. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app today.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
At BMW of Fairfield, our guests work with one client advisor through the entire transaction. No handoffs to multiple car salesmen. No waiting for a finance manager to take you to a back room. Client advisors at BMW of Fairfield are thoroughly trained in every aspect of the process, so they can lead you efficiently and effectively through the purchase from start to finish. There is a better way. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
Hey, Becky, what about this beat for your next song?
It's cool, but I'm into faster stuff lately. Like Xfinity that gives me beyond gig speeds.
Got it. What about this then?
It sounds powerful, just like Xfinity. Because its supersonic Wi-Fi has 3 times the bandwidth, you can connect hundreds of devices at once.
That's what I call power.
Unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Made to do anything so you can do anything.
Get the Xfinity Supersonic Bundle with unlimited gig speed internet, Wi-Fi equipment included, and a free 4K streaming box. All for $50 a month with a 2-year internet rate guarantee and no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/gig, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. New gigabit extra internet customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes wireless usage. After 24 months, regular rates apply. Requires compatible Xfinity gateway.
You put it in your mouth and you chew it up real good.
I know how to chew gum, Dad.
Hurry up, we got leaks to fix.
What are you two up to? We're fixing our leaky pipes.
Yeah.
With gum? Yeah, it's a hack, Mom.
A what?
A hack.
You know.
A do-it-yourself trick.
No, the trick to fixing leaks and low water pressure is calling repipe specialists.
You mean professionals?
I mean, repipe specialists can repipe our whole house in 1 to 2 days. Fix the leaks and low water pressure, repair the holes in the walls if we want, and they guarantee their work for life.
Got leaks or low water pressure? Call the professionals at Repipe Specialists, and in 1 to 2 days, they can repipe your whole house with new PEX tubing. With over 60,000 repipes completed, that's their specialty.
You really stepped in it.
I was just being...
The gum, Dad. You
What?
stepped in the gum.
Oh, great.
Call 800-217-1636 for a free in-home estimate and ask about their 0% financing options. That's 800-217-1636. Call today, 800-217-1636, or visit repipe.com.
Some fans gear up for game day, but some fans follow their team every day. That's why the Locked On Podcast Network has a daily podcast for your favorite NFL team. Every trade, every overtime win, every game. Our local experts cover the biggest stories around your team every day. Search Locked On plus your favorite NFL team on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
When a nasty cold keeps you up all night, Vicks NyQuil Severe gives you powerful relief from your worst cold and flu symptoms, which changes a night that sounds like this into a night that sounds more like this. Ah, that's better. NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, stuffy head, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold, medicine. Use as directed.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Wonderful to have you here today. Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game. An awful lot happening. Brandon Krisztal, who covers the Denver Broncos, will be joining us to get you ready for 49ers and Broncos coming up on Sunday night. I'll say this, Ray, both these games being on national television are the next two games, the 49ers Sunday night game and then the Monday nighter against the LA Rams. If the Niners can actually go 2-0, the temperature of the room is going to change so dramatically in just 2 weeks of football that you would have never thought they got off to a controversial, people pulling their hair out start to the season. When you show out big on national primetime games, that's the conversation that people go with. And like Tim was just saying, and thanks again to Tim Kawakami for joining us, every single game now, every single regular season NFL game has the amount of scrutiny any Super Bowl in the 70s was played under. You know, every single game is breathlessly covered and overanalyzed, and you try to disseminate that information and just say, well, this is the way it's going to be. And everyone knows it won't. What happened last week won't mean a thing in next week's game. unless it's an injury, of course. But the 49ers can not only point their ship in the right direction with a 3-1 record if they win their next 2 games, but the way that the media is talking about them, the way that the noise that, and they can say they don't hear noise, but when we talked to Kyle Juszczyk yesterday, he originally started by saying, I'm sure you guys aren't going to ask me anything about our quarterback room. He knew it was coming. They know it's coming. The amount of it's coming that gets thrown at the 49ers gets turned down so much if they win their next 2 games. They're huge. These next 2 games for the 49ers are massive in terms of changing the feeling around the conversation about the team.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. I never thought Denver was very good, but I can't decide now whether the Rams are regressing to the mean or they're just about to find their stride. But let's follow your scenario. They win both games. They're 3-1 after 4, which is probably what people thought they would be.
That's kind of where I had them.
Yeah. And the only thing that's happened is people are outraged because the quarterback they want isn't playing. How quickly does that go away? I think it goes away for a while until they lose again.
If they lose in week 5, all bets are off.
Exactly. But, if you're 3-1 after 4, in all likelihood, what's happened is you can now point to a defense that is certifiably elite. Because I don't know that that's been proven yet based on who they've played. And I don't know that it'll be proven with the game Sunday night either, because I don't think Denver is very good offensively at all.
Certainly not in the red zone.
Well, not in the red zone, but I think in general. They piled up a bunch of yards in week 1 and then did remarkably little in week 2. So I don't know who they are, but I'm not jaw-slackingly impressed by Russell Wilson's transplantation. It just seems like Sunday is a very winnable game. And I think the one next Monday will define where the 49ers actually are in a more macro sense. Because that's what they're playing for ultimately. It's not about Kyle Shanahan's reputation or Jimmy Garoppolo's renaissance. All that stuff is noise. It's really about, so how good are these guys? And I think week 4 is going to be the first indication of how good they are because, like we've said 100 times, they're not very good in the lake. They're real good against a team that's going in the toilet. And I think they're probably going to show out pretty well against what I think is a pretty tepid Bronco team. I think the Rams game is the first sense you get of who they really are, ignoring all the noise that we've played with.
I think that that's fair. I also think that there's never any apologies that need to be made for winning at Mile High Stadium's the road team. It's a tough place to play. You can have well-intentions going in there and whatever. The ghosts come out. That's a tough place to play. And the Denver Broncos haven't lost at Mile High Stadium yet. That's the thing. They're 1-1 and catching as much heat and strays over their coaching decisions as the 49ers, who are sitting at 1-1, have caught heat and strays over a coaching decision that, whether you say he's responsible for an injury or not, it's and look, he's not, but he's responsible sending in the play where the injury happened, and that's a choice. It's a choice that Kyle Shanahan made. It's amazing how many little things, Ray, and I want to get to the chain of dominoes that has brought Jimmy Garoppolo back here in the first place. It's extraordinary, the chain of dominoes. You remove one of these things, it maybe doesn't happen. Starting with a very soft pursuit of free agent quarterbacking market that this offseason turned into. For the first time ever, getting a wide receiver was the more in vogue thing to do than getting quarterbacks. It was the offseason of wide receivers. So quarterbacks weren't being flipped around. And when quarterbacks were flipped around, the guys who did get flipped around had an awful lot to do with the fact that Jimmy wasn't flipped anywhere. Now, the chain of dominoes clearly feels like it begins with his choice to have shoulder surgery, which is something that upset the team's offseason plans and might have actually upset 49ers brass when Garoppolo made that decision. But that decision to get shoulder surgery may have saved the season for the San Francisco 49ers. Just right there alone, Ray. Just that decision alone is one of the greatest decisions if the Niners do something special this year. Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder surgery is one of the greatest off-season surgeries any Bay Area athlete's ever had.
Oh, I mean, no question. But the thing that I keep going back to in my head is that, the conversation about the Commanders being interested in him and that they stopped being interested as soon as they declared they were going to have surgery. I think if they had, done a deal, it would have been conditioned on him passing a physical. And it seems like he wouldn't have passed that physical based on his shoulder situation. So maybe that trade doesn't happen anyway. But having decided to get the surgery when rehab wasn't getting it done puts him in a better situation and weirdly puts them in a better situation because Brock Purdy, they're 7-10. I mean, if you want to talk about, Trey Lance doesn't have much of a resume, Brock Purdy has zero resume.
Oh, Brock Purdy's resume dwarfs Trey Lance's. Are you out of your mind?
Well, in terms of college, but in terms of
that's what we're talking about.
Well, no, but I'm talking about you've got a guy who's at least played 3 NFL games as opposed to a guy who has basically only watched 3.
Okay, well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Well, one's career started 12 months before the other one's.
I understand. I'm not trying to make some sort of, Brock Purdy should have started.
You hate Brock Purdy. Just say it.
Well, no, I'm indifferent to him. Until the moment comes when I'm bored with Jimmy Garoppolo, I say, we need to see more Purdy. But no, I think, the shoulder surgery was,
should we book Mark Purdy?
Sure, but only if you could prove that they're related. No, I just think that the 49er, this surgery was going to happen. And the argument is, isn't it lucky that they had the surgery? Well, it's going to happen one way or another. Because whether they tried to trade him and he flunked the physical or they just did what they did, that surgery was going to happen. So it's great, much to their benefit that he got the surgery anyway, but I think that was a fait accompli.
You're probably right. But thank God it was because Jimmy's likely not here but for that moment. 888-957-9570. Here are some other dominoes. You take him out. Jimmy's not here anymore. Let's say the Houston Texans hadn't decided that they were going to roll with Davis Mills. Does that become a landing spot for Garoppolo? Again, assumed landing spots for Garoppolo never really materialized. That includes the Panthers trading for Baker Mayfield. That includes the Cleveland Browns saying, yeah, we're just going to roll with Jacoby Brissett through the Deshaun Watson suspension after all. That includes Seattle deciding to go with Geno Smith. Any of those choices don't materialize. The chances of Jimmy still being here when the 49ers decide it's time to pivot back to him decrease, I think, exponentially.
You're forgetting one.
Please.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. And I wonder if Aaron Rodgers hadn't declared, I think I might be done with the Green Bay Packers, if the Denver Broncos are hiring Nathaniel Hackett. It feels like the two of them are linked, and this is something that we're going to talk to Brandon Krisztal about in about 15 minutes here on 95.7 The Game. By the way, let me welcome everybody into your 4 o'clock hour.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Damn well better be free.
Now let me take it all the way back. I'm going to go ancient history. But before, let me just ask you a quick question. Jimmy Garoppolo connects with Emmanuel Sanders. They win that Super Bowl. The parade goes up Market Street. Is Jimmy Garoppolo essentially a Niner starting quarterback for the remainder of his football career?
He's completely on scholarship.
Thank you. That's the answer I was hoping you would say. Do you think if Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons had won the Super Bowl that they blew against the New England Patriots, do you think Matt Ryan ends his career in Atlanta? I mean, I know he was carrying a massive cap. I do too. I think that too. Once you win a Super Bowl, it's pretty hard to wave goodbye.
When you give a ring to your owner, you're married.
So I think that if the Falcons don't blow that Super Bowl, Matt Ryan becomes a Falcon for life, and he's definitely not traded to Indianapolis. Another potentially could have been landing spot for Jimmy Garoppolo. And if Carson Wentz hadn't gone belly up in Indianapolis, the Colts don't trade for Matt Ryan, and Wentz doesn't end up in Washington, which brings us right back to curiosity about Jimmy Garoppolo after all. So you can draw, I believe, a line that Jimmy Garoppolo remains a Niner all the way back to the Super Bowl where the Falcons blew it, 28-3. Well, that's how connected this all is.
Yeah, the only wobble that I can see in your scenario.
It's a hell of a scenario, admit.
No, I like it.
High as a kite when I thought of this one.
It's incredibly Byzantine. I like
yeah, no, I was thinking to myself, this isn't a dumb idea. Why don't you go write that down, man?
But the only wiggle room that I see is that Matt Ryan would have won that Super Bowl 5.5 years ago. And I wonder if in the ensuing years his career path and that of the Falcons stays the same. Maybe he gets moved anyway. Maybe the scholarship benefits wear down with time.
Right, and he was carrying the largest cap number in the NFL, and so he might have priced himself out at his age.
Maybe, but I also think that it's very possible that the Colts would have just said anyway, well, he has a ring. I like him anyway. So maybe that's the part that doesn't change. But everything else, it's literally you're pulling blocks out of a Jenga tower.
It's amazing.
And eventually it collapses on you and breaks your foot.
It's amazing how it's all connected. It truly is. It's something else. A butterfly flaps his wings on the plains of Africa, and there's a tsunami somewhere, across the ocean.
I wish it was that easy.
Right? 888-957-9570, the number. Matt is in San Rafael. San Rafael, Matt, do you realize that you just spoke directly with Matt Nahagian, one of the most powerful media entities in America?
I was honored and I could feel it.
I'm glad you could. It's to be felt. It really is. What can we do for you,
sir? It really was. No, I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and I agree with what's been said recently. The Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Remember Barry situation where now that Trey's hurt, we talk like we always wanted Jimmy, when last year before Monday Night Football against L.A., we couldn't ship him far enough away. And then we talk... Hello?
Yeah, we are also eating the member berries. Absolutely.
Oh, all right. No, all the... I just think that one thing people thought, he's a Super Bowl quarterback. He's not. Joe Montana was a Super Bowl quarterback. Tom Brady is a Super Bowl quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo was a passenger on a Super Bowl team. Jake Delhomme, Joe Flacco. He's one of those guys. So...
By the way, Joe Flacco played well enough that postseason to where he earned it. I mean, he really did. And I know he's not a great quarterback, but he as much as the Ravens drove that bus. I think he was 14-0 touchdown to interception ratio in the postseason. So just a little respect for Joe, who doesn't get nearly enough. Not elite.
Okay, fair enough. Not elite. Can we settle there? I'm just saying, when we talk about he's a Super Bowl quarterback, we all know what that means. And I'm just wondering when... First off, the flip-flopping with Niner fans is brutal. I'm a Niner fan. I think we saw the ceiling on Jimmy, 2-3 years ago, even in the Super Bowl. How many games did we win in spite of him? And then between the Super Bowl and then the NFC Championship last game with the flailing fumble sack, incomplete pass, whatever you call it at the end, every time the moment gets big, it's too big for Jimmy. So we can gloat and talk about how he played last weekend. I can't wait to see him in prime time against a real competitive team. And when the oh-no throws and the into triple coverage and the collapsing in the pocket happens and we see Jimmy be Jimmy, I can't wait to hear what everyone's saying then.
Well, we know that they're going to get their pitchforks out. That'll happen quickly. Matt, thank you very, very much for the phone call. You know, you were talking about a lot of 49er fans saw Jimmy Garoppolo, saw his ceiling, and said, you know, I'm out. Hey, as Ray says all the time, forget about the fans. Fans don't really matter to the conversation that a single team is having. Forget about them. The coach told you he'd seen enough. Actions speak louder than words, and that to me is the crux of the awkward that Kyle Shanahan now lives in. There's no amount of success that he can point to that the 49ers may have that he can say, yeah, this is my vision. This is the way I wanted it. This was my plan. This is how I wanted it done. He can't. He literally tried to undo the situation that may be now the one lifeboat that the Niners get to hop into to paddle away from the Titanic that was about to be this season if you didn't have a legitimate backup quarterback. It's stunning. And that to me is where, you know, as Kyle talks with media and presents, he needs to dial back that I know everything air about him. Just a touch. Like a little just slice of humility served once and again, because Kyle, you're no matter what happens this year, it didn't start with you being the smartest guy in the room. It started with you being the luckiest guy in the room.
Well, the luckiest guy, but in fairness, he also was willing to walk back his decision to try to get Garoppolo out of town when he realized that the options would be worse if he did.
His ego didn't bury him to the decision.
And that's why I don't think his ego is the overwhelming thing that goes on in his head any more than it is for any other coach. And every other coach has a massive ego, and he's got his own massive ego. But I think he has enough common sense not to say, look what I did. Because, as you said, a lot of things happened for this to be where it is. And I think if he is going to preen for himself in his quiet moments, it's going to be, yeah, I'm pretty adaptable. I'm not a seer. I can't foretell the future. But when, somebody spits in my stew pot, I can make something else. And I think that's where his ego will be.
Or when I spit in my own stew pot.
Well, however it gets there. I mean, the point is, a bunch of weird things happen.
However he deigned himself there.
I hate you. No, I just think that, he's going to say, man, I'm adaptable. I can adjust to the weirdest circumstances you can be presented with. And he has. Now, whether this turns into something lasting is still 15 more events before we even get to that part. But, he's not as screwed as you would think he would be. And some of that...
Oh, well, his job security unscrews him from anything.
This is not even about job security. Right. I'm just talking about his situation right now in terms of this team. He's not nearly as screwed as losing your starting quarterback would make you under normal circumstances.
Oh, well,
and part of that is because he was willing to walk back his ego on Garoppolo.
One might even argue he is the least screwed. My starting quarterback went down, and we have a basic, tantamount to a full NFL season still to be played in front of us.
Yeah, he tried to hit on an inside straight, lost, but the casino wouldn't take his money.
Every now and then, Raymond. Every now and then. You pull one out. That was good.
I don't want to say where I pulled it out of.
No, please don't. Andy in Novato, did you enjoy your 30 to 90 second conversation with Matt Nahagian before you got to us?
I did, and he definitely worked me a little, and I deserved it, I'm sure. I like him.
I do too.
From the morning show.
Ray's jury's still out.
But Matt's a keeper.
Please don't say that.
Okay. I just love Ray. And Damon, you and Ray, I always thought you were the best, but you had me really upset the other day because you lost it. You were so upset. It was Monday, I guess, about Trey.
Oh, no, Andy, your phone is breaking up. Nahagian should have secured the fact that you were on a landline. No, and look, I'm sorry that your phone is cutting out. And look, I'm sorry that I upset you on Monday. I came in here upset on Monday. I think everyone was upset on Monday, except for Ray. Ray's the indifference, so I can actually feel emotions.
I like a good nightmare. I like when fans are unhappy.
I know you
because
do.
they deserve to be unhappy.
Well, chaos is...
Yeah, get a better hobby. Learn to quilt.
And then you can tune into us every day on the quilting channel.
However I get paid, I don't care.
Well, then you better be nice to fans because they're paying your salary.
When they come here and give me bags of money, I'll worry about them. Right now, I'm paid by some greasy guy in New York.
Right. Based on the ears that hit whatever the hell this is.
Maybe.
And the eyes, because we are streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and you look great today.
And I'll be honest with you.
Did you get a haircut?
No.
You did recently, though. Not
like
yesterday.
Like about 10 days ago.
All right. Yeah, I can tell. I thought I'd wait to give you a call.
Why that would matter to you is beyond me, but...
You look great.
Shut up.
I want you to know that we have Brandon Krisztal coming up next. Brandon Krisztal covers the Denver Broncos. He is all over that team. He is a talk show host in Denver, and he doesn't hold it back, man. He is really good. He is really, really good, and you might want to stick around for Brandon Krisztal because he's going to tell you what exactly the 49ers are walking into on Sunday night in Denver. So stick around for all of that. It's right around the corner here on 95.7 The Game. And if you are thinking, we're going to get a little summer break in, well, no, it's not. By the way, happy fall equinox, everybody, right? Today's the first day of fall officially, I think, sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. But
in fact, it was yesterday.
We're in the window of that equinox, so I do hope you are indeed enjoying it. And if you're thinking about a little fall trip, maybe down to San Diego where it stays summer even longer, make your plans today at sandiego.org.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. It's another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper gig speeds. Meet Gagillionaire Terry. While his love of streaming horror movies has him constantly on the edge of his seat, his internet bill won't give him a scare.
Oh, don't go in there. I'm telling you.
Because since Terry upgraded to AT&T Fiber with hyper gig speeds, he doesn't worry about data caps or equipment fees.
Come on, man. The door's open for a reason.
And best yet, he also doesn't stress about a price increase at 12 months. Because with the amazing Gagillionaire lifestyle comes an exquisite sense of tranquility. Most of the time. Live like a Gagillionaire. Get straightforward pricing with AT&T Fiber. Internet that upgrades everything. No data caps, no equipment fees, and no price increase at 12 months.
Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Hi, this is George with Left Coast Buyers. We buy properties all over California. If you own a house or an apartment building and want to sell it fast at a great price, call us at 925-434-5000. We can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. We buy properties in any condition, any price range, and can help you in any situation. Do you own a property that is run down and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Are you out of time, money, and energy? Let us help. Are you looking for an easy way to get top dollar for your property and sell on your terms and timeline? Well, call Left Coast Buyers now at 925-434-5000. We can solve any problem. We buy divorce houses, inherited houses. We even buy vacant houses and abandoned houses. Do you have a tenant who hasn't paid rent? Are you behind on property taxes, mortgage payments, or even facing a foreclosure? Even if you're just nervous about capital gains or an upcoming recession, we've seen it all. So if you or someone you know owns a property and needs to sell, call Left Coast Buyers at 925-434-5000. That's 925-434-5000.
Ever since I got the new Galaxy Z Flip 4, I've been learning all these new tricks with my dog Finn. Like how to take the best selfies at the park. I just set my phone down, put it in flex mode, and capture hands-free pics from multiple angles. Aww. Or how to capture our training sessions for his followers. I simply wave my hand to start recording video. Good boy! Plus, the Z Flip 4 is compact and fits perfectly in my pocket.
Oh, wow! Visit Samsung.com today to get the new Galaxy Z Flip 4.
Bart is turning 50 and we'd love to celebrate with you. Get 50% off your ride in honor of BART's 50 years of service to the Bay Area when you pay with Clipper. That's 50% off Clipper BART fares for the entire month of September. Add Clipper to your digital wallet for free. If you're eligible for other Clipper discounts like youth or senior fares, you get to take an additional 50% off those too. Details at bart.gov/50 years. That's bart.gov/50 years. Celebrate BART's 50 years of service with us this September. Let's go.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security. Together for just $69.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Or find out how to get up to a $650 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Requires enrollment in EcoBill and AutoPay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Comcast Business Mobile utilizes the network with the most RootMetrics 5G data reliability wins in 1H 2022. Results may vary, not an endorsement.
Traveling, volunteering, spending time with family. What's your retirement look like? With income planning from Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor can help you grow and protect your wealth. They'll look at your full financial picture and help you create a flexible strategy that considers things like market conditions and healthcare expenses, so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Visit fidelity.com/income planning. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE SIPC.
When Big Mobile charges you an arm and a leg, they're taking your money and your power. And your arm and leg. Boost Mobile gives your power back with an unlimited plan for $25 a month on one of America's largest 5G networks. We can't give you back your arm and your leg because we're not qualified surgeons. Unless you're an iguana who can grow limbs back. Switch to Boost and get an unlimited plan for $25 a month. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. New customers only. One line, $25 per month with AutoPay. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
Okay, everyone gather around. I have some exciting...
Running her shoe factory, Kendra talks the talk and walks the walk.
We're switching to green energy.
She needs a biotech consultant to erase her carbon footprint.
All operations will net zero emissions.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Los Gatos mostly clear tonight with a low of 59.
Brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Your neighborhood Ashley store has all the styles, selection, and value you'll need to invite fall in this season. Find furniture you'll love by shopping locally or visit Ashley.com today.
Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill September 23rd through September 25th for their fall clearance sale event and take advantage of one-of-a-kind opportunities. Visit Friedman's Appliance Fall Clearance Sale event for the best time to save on new appliances for your home.
Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
The kickoff show for a little football coming up on Sunday. Larry Krueger and Lorenzo Neal got you taken care of starting at 3 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game. The show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality, and by Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. You should just call the show Beef and Bourbon. I mean, that's pretty much what you want before a football game anyways. And before this football game, which is officially about as odd as a football game, in comparison to how both fan bases felt about the season that they were both to have going all the way back to training camp, it's the Bizarro Bowl. It truly is. What we're about to see between the San Francisco 49ers and Denver Broncos is one of the biggest turnarounds from training camp enthusiasm to actual reality of your season sitting through 2 games. Obviously, a quarterbacking injury has defined the start of the 49ers season, while coaching questions are defining everything right now about the Denver Broncos. And a man who knows how to define the Denver Broncos very, very well is Brandon Krisztal I've known Brandon for a very long time now. We met doing radio on CBS about 1 million years ago. And now he works for KOA as a sports anchor and reporter covering the Broncos. Brandon Krisztal, thank you so much for joining us, man. How are you? Good to have you on.
Hey, happy to talk to you, Damon and Ray. Been a fan of your work for a long time, so I feel like I've chatted with you here and there in the press box over the years, but good to talk a little football, and I think you characterized it in terms of the enthusiasm. I can't speak for Niners enthusiasm or fans' enthusiasm, but Broncos fans, every place I go, people are asking me, what's going on? What's wrong with the team? Why can't the coach? And the list just keeps going on with their issues compared to the Super Bowl plans that I think some Broncos fans were making for a trip to Phoenix based on Russ coming here and all the excitement with new ownership and new coach and everything.
Whose honeymoon in Denver was shorter, Chris Bryant's or Nathaniel Hackett's?
Well, what's great about Chris Bryant, who I'm almost certain I'll see at the Pearl Jam concert tonight, is they're closing out their tour here in Denver in a few hours. And
nice. So are they playing at Pepsi or Dick's?
Yeah. Well, now called Ball Arena.
Oh, okay, Ball Arena. Sorry.
They're there, the old Pepsi Center. But with the Rockies getting swept by the Giants, obviously, Chris Bryant nowhere near baseball activities. Although I did hear that he threw an end-of-the-year party a couple weeks ago for the team, or last week when they were...
I mean, he's got the cash. Why not?
Yeah, why not? A couple Thursdays ago, they had the party because they had a day off and were home against the Diamondbacks. Anyway, Chris Bryant's honeymoon ended quickly. Then you had Nolan Arenado come in for just 3 games. He hit a home run in Coors Field. That's one more than Chris Bryant hit this year at Coors Field. So his honeymoon ended quickly, and Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett's is certainly, I don't say the honeymoon's over, but it's maybe on pause. They had to take a break in the middle of it. It has a chance to kick back into full swing if they can win decisively or in an exciting fashion, one way or the other, on Sunday night against Kyle Shanahan and the Niners.
How much damage has Nathaniel Hackett done to his own sort of reputation in town? And at this point, and this seems like a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, is it irredeemable?
I don't think it's irredeemable because they're 1-1, right? And they've got a stretch here over the next 3 games. If they can figure out a way to win on Sunday, it's going to be no easy task. I think the task was made harder with the injury to Trey Lance, and we're not going to necessarily dwell on that, but talking to players, coaches, people in that building, they were looking forward to trying to figure out how to game plan a young, inexperienced Trey Lance versus a guy that they know what they have in Jimmy G, but he obviously knows how to win a lot of games and run what Kyle asks him to run, which we know isn't maybe the full complement of the offense. So if they can beat the Niners, then they go to the Raiders. We don't really know what the Raiders are yet. They're going through their growing pains with Josh McDaniels, obviously, and his adjustment there. That defense is not very good there with the Raiders. And then 4 days later, they get the Colts on a Thursday night, and we certainly don't think the Colts are a Super Bowl caliber team right now based on what we've seen through 2 weeks. Certainly what we saw Sunday in Jacksonville, maybe the Jags are a little better. So they could turn around and be 4-1 here real quickly. And then I think people are looking at them a little differently. But it's funny because, I've been on the air a bunch with Alfred Williams the last couple of weeks and was on, he and I were on Monday and talking about this with the growing pains Nathaniel Hackett's going through, because Kyle Shanahan told us in his conference call yesterday, he went for it 4 times his first game because he was thinking like an offensive coordinator, even though he, like Nathaniel Hackett, has a dad who's a coach and been around the game forever. When your role changes, right, the approach changes, but you forget, I'm in charge of the whole thing, perhaps. The difference with what Kyle Shanahan went through, or Mike Shanahan when he was with the Raiders, a first-time head coach, or Sean Payton before Drew Brees got there, or Andy Reid his entire run in Philly, even with Donovan McNabb, where people didn't think he understood situations very well. But most first-time head coaches have crappy teams. Very few get a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. Matt LaFleur did, and even though it wasn't super smooth with Aaron Rodgers, they still went 13-3 his first year, and Hackett had a front-row seat to that. And now you give Hackett a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, a guy who's certainly on that trajectory, 9 Pro Bowls in 10 years, won a lot of games, certainly has won a bunch against the Niners. I didn't realize his record was what it was until I saw it. But your learning curve needs to be accelerated. You don't get to go through the same growing pains and escape without the scrutiny that comes with having that guy at quarterback.
Brandon Krisztal covers the Denver Broncos for KOA in Denver. And look, we know Russell Wilson very well from all of his years in Seattle, and he's got almost as much ownage on the Niners as Aaron Rodgers has on the Chicago Bears. He has beaten them frequently throughout his career. I got a lot of respect for Russell Wilson, the player, Russell Wilson, the Instagram account, the personality. That's another discussion entirely, and we'll get to that eventually here. Are you surprised, though, Brandon, that he hasn't assumed more responsibility and command of how these games have ended with calling timeouts when there are plenty to burn or going over and sort of, just making sure that Hackett is on the same page as what his quarterbacking mind must be? I've been stunned by his laissez-faire approach to running the Denver Broncos early in his Bronco tenure.
Yeah, when you boil it down to that aspect, or when you look at that aspect, it is a little surprising because people have asked Russ, certainly this week, I don't know if he was asked last week, but hey, how much ownership do you feel like you have of your relationship with Coach Hackett to be able to say, hey, let's go for it here? Like, when are you going to assert yourself? Because his resume is what it is, and he goes to, hey, it's a process, we're learning, we can help him out by not getting penalties. Right, he goes into all the things he wants to talk about very, very much like a politician, even though that wasn't necessarily what he was asked or helping to solve. But you're right, especially in Seattle, and I know that was a weird game all the way around, not just how it played out on the field, but for him with the emotions and everything else and all that went into that game. But he should have spoken up more and said, look, I got this, let's go for it on 4th and 5, because I've never seen a kick over 60 yards here. He should have at least known that, right? That a kick's never gone beyond. I would
have called a timeout and just gone up to him and said, look, man, they don't pay me $240 million to watch 64-yard field goals on 4th and 5.
Exactly. And be like, I've done this in this building a lot. I'm going to get us in the right play. I'm going to throw it to Cortland or Jerry Jeudy or whoever's open. We're going to move the sticks, and we're going to either have an easier kick or we're going to go score. And so you're right. And it'll be interesting to see this week, one, how the operation is, because part of the reason there's been struggles has been that Hackett is taking a long time to get the play in, which when you have an offense similar to San Fran's with all the pre-snap motions and everything else, you can't get into all of that quickly enough. And then you can't check out of whatever you want to check out of or into whatever you want to check into because you're late getting out of the huddle. And so Hackett has to be better, but Russ has to maybe do all he can. Maybe he goes tempo a little more. He did mention that because it took 3 or 4 times of us asking him, what can you do to help your coach? I asked him Sunday after the game. He said, well, we can have less penalties. Someone else asked him Wednesday in his press conference. He said, well, we can have less penalties. I said, okay, penalties notwithstanding, what can you do to help the play get in fast and get executed? He says, well, we can go tempo and we can change things up. So it'll be interesting to see, does he put more on his shoulders? Because we know in a 2-minute drill, he's been fantastic for his entire career, and he's made plenty of plays for the Seahawks in crunch time. You hope that for the Broncos' sake, they hope it doesn't come to that where week in, week out, he's having to do it. But maybe he just does it a little bit, and maybe that's one of the ways they're going to make it a little easier on Coach Hackett, where he's not having to think as much, because Russ is like, I got this drive. Let me handle this. At the same time, against the Niners defense with all that talent and a good defensive play caller, I think, in D'Amico Ryans, you can't just let Russ do that all game. But Russ does need to assert himself more, because that is why they paid him $250 million.
Quarterback and coach aside, what do the Broncos do that will give the 49ers problems? And
they run the ball really well. Sorry, Ray. Didn't mean to catch up, but what else? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, they run the ball really well. And I think Nathaniel Hackett's gotten in his own way in that regard because he's trying to let Russ cook a little bit. And not that anyone's telling him that. I don't think the owners have even had that conversation, or George Payton, the GM, have had that conversation with, hey, we brought Russ in to win an MVP and this and that. I think that Nathaniel just feels obligated to make sure he's mixing in pass. But Javonte Williams, who is a really good young running back, and Melvin Gordon, who still has enough left in the tank, are averaging close to 5 yards a carry through 2 games. Again, against some not great teams in Seattle and Houston, certainly teams I don't think are going to be very good this year, and maybe that's almost what they want so they can get a better quarterback next year in the draft. But regardless, their rosters aren't awesome, even if they have a couple players, on each side of the ball. So this week, it'll be a true test. Can they run the ball against a really good defense, a really good front with a tackling machine in Fred Warner? And if they'll stick to it when it's working, and if they'll run the ball in the red zone, 11 of their 15 goal-to-go plays inside the 5-yard line have been passes. And one of the run plays was a pass that Russ checked to a run. Javonte Williams ended up fumbling because it wasn't communicated to the substitute right guard and Graham Glasgow. But that would have been 12 out of 15 plays in goal-to-go situations inside the 5 that were pass plays. So they need to run the ball better, because that is something that they do really, really well. And the other thing right now, because Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory are healthy, they are getting after the quarterback because Draymond Jones inside, and with the youth inside for the Niners, if they're going to get to Jimmy G, it might be Draymond Jones, not DJ Jones, who's been great against the run, but Draymond Jones living in the backfield along with a healthy Bradley Chubb and on the men, but certainly an explosive Randy Gregory.
Brandon Krisztal from Denver. He covers the Broncos. Nice enough to join us here on 95.7 The Game. And there's our final question for you today. You're around him in the locker room. You're around him as he's walking on and off the practice field. Is Russell Wilson's persona misunderstood, or is he the human equivalent of a dad joke?
It's maybe a little bit of all of it. So the one thing is he's got this wife who has put out more hits than I realized. She has 8 top 10 hits in her musical career. Wow. But she's got 32 million Instagram followers. She has one number one, right? It's been a while. She's not prolific like Adele or Beyonce or somebody, right? She's not just pumping out, or Katy Perry, top 10 albums over and over and over. But she's a bona fide, pop star of note.
Absolutely.
There's a Kardashian feel to it. But they put stuff out constantly. I mean, they're putting things out on social media before the Broncos have a chance, because Russ has his own photographer that's around the team a lot. Not during practice necessarily, but certainly during camp. At the same time, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Adam Schefter has the most Twitter followers of anybody NFL related. Second is Russell Wilson, more than any team, more than any player, more than Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, you name it, Patrick Mahomes. He has 5.7, give or take, million Twitter followers, and that same amount for Instagram, plus his wife's 32 million Instagram followers, and they feel obligated to constantly feed that beast. They're running their own corporation, their own brand. I mean, they have people running it with them, but no one is telling them, hey, you need to post this every day, or you make sure you've got some content on there. Russ had a tweet that came out in the dead middle of practice today, and it's like, well, how's he pressing send on that? I know you can schedule tweets. But so, at the same time, with all of that going on, and then jet setting all over Europe and going to Monaco during Memorial Day weekend, Russ doesn't let the football suffer. And everybody in Seattle said the same thing, that he may not be able to connect with his teammates, but it's not because he's not around. He's first guy in, last guy out, and even when he's in Monaco on a Sunday and Monday, he was the first guy in that Tuesday after Memorial Day. So the football part is there. It's all the other stuff, and when you try to talk to him, you ask him one question. I asked him how much he likes learning the playbook, and he starts talking about legacy goals and Jerry Jeudy's career. And I was like, a simple, yeah, I'm a football nerd. I really like learning the playbook, because that's how Peyton answered that question. I like learning a new playbook. Russ answered it by giving me a 90-second diatribe about legacy goals and all of that. So if you can get past all of that, then there's, I don't know, a really good football player we think that has some left in the tank. It's certainly an interesting personality study, but maybe this is the best way to characterize who Russ is. Josh Kroenke gives him 4 tickets to Nuggets-Warriors playoffs game 3, and they're sitting courtside. They're next to Reggie Miller on one side. The 2 other seats that they had available to them, they left empty. Now, they were with some teammates at games for hockey and basketball later on or whatever in suites. But when you can invite anybody. You can invite your coach. You can invite the GM. You can invite any teammate and his significant other, 2 teammates.
Could have brought you. Could have asked you. I'm sure you would have liked to have been there.
I would have. I was up in the press seating. I would have sat courtside.
Hell yeah.
And talked to Reggie and Kevin Harlan. Kevin's a fellow Jayhawk, so absolutely. But
by the way, the Hoosiers are rolling into Fog Allen this year. You're in trouble.
Oh, well, if we can make it work on our schedule, we should both go out there. But watch out for the KU football team, because we're so good, our coach is going to get hired away by Nebraska.
Stop it. Good to talk to you. Good to catch up with you.
To you guys, Damon, Ray. Hope we see each other soon.
Brandon Krisztal. Really good stuff from Denver. He knows the team. He covers them. We're around them all the time. And, somebody on the chat on our YouTube page, San Jose Jazz fan, says Russell Wilson's already lost the local media. It kind of feels like it. I mean, look at it this way. When you're around Peyton Manning, you know what this guy is a real quarterback feels and sounds like. And Russell Wilson is a real NFL quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But people can always smell desperation. And Russell Wilson is so desperate to be liked, to be accepted, to feel that he is feeding his substantial Twitter follow that, it doesn't get in the way of the business that he runs on the football field, but it starts defining him more than what he's done on the football field in fans' eyes. And I think local media picks that up too.
I don't know. He got those Twitter followers before he got to Denver. I think he's careful to never say anything direct to any question. And he was like that in Seattle. And I think it was one of the reasons why his teammates, why a number of his teammates were kind of fed up with him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's the sort of guy who stands outside his own body and looks back at himself to make sure that he's put down, he's put together. And I think there's not a lot of sort of genuine emotion in him. And I think that's what people react to. It's not that what he says is necessarily disingenuous. It's that he never says anything that seems like it actually cuts through the face shield.
It's so there's so much disinfectant on anything he does. People kind of prefer germs sometimes. You know, he's so scrubbed squeaky clean that it feels false. A-Rod fell into that.
Yeah.
You know, you can think of other athletes whose personas that they put out were so well crafted. They were
too well crafted.
Yeah, it was inauthentic as, say Gabe Kapler's beard. Like, you grow a beard, I grow a beard. I know how beards grow. I know that they follow like a natural hairline, but it's never as perfect as Gabe Kapler's is. I mean, that guy spends more time working on his beard than you or I have spent working on any aspect of our appearance in our lives.
I feel confident in saying that. The first time he trimmed his beard, he beat me. It's Russell Wilson is very much a politician. And he's gotten to where he is as a social figure by being that politician. So he's never going to give you the sort of straight, avuncular answer to any question, because that's not how he got to where he is. He's always shields up. And to the extent that people aren't necessarily attracted to it, is entirely a function of his one-loss record. Because in Seattle, they loved him as long as he was winning games for them. He leaves, his first trip back to Denver, he's getting his ass booed because he's not their guy anymore. So it was really about, show us the result and we'll like you. But it's not a natural affinity. And I don't know that there will be a natural affinity with him in Denver either. I mean, Peyton Manning might not have gotten that, except that he got a Super Bowl for them. And they'll take that every time. I mean, John Elway was not an incredible personality either, but he got him 2 rings. So he's on scholarship forever.
And he was theirs.
He was theirs.
He's only worn a Bronco uniform.
But there was plenty of, is this guy the real deal? Until he actually finally won one. And that was sort of that redemptive, well, he's been here so long and he finally gets it done. I mean, it'll be a little bit of of what you'll get out of Jimmy Garoppolo if they do that, either this year or sometime in the future. I don't know when. But there's something about, a parade scrubs all dirt.
Oh, and winning's the ultimate deodorant. There's no doubt.
And it's not that Russell Wilson gives off a particular odor. It's that he gives off none whatsoever.
Do you want to know
he's a robot?
I love the phrase. I really do. I've always loved the phrase, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. A lot of people, who are nice, you assume in some level they're not steely-eyed enough to get the job done when the chips are on the table. If Steph Curry had not won in the level that he has won at, he'd be catching some of this.
He'd be catching a lot of it.
But I can say this about Curry. What you do see from him is authentically him. I've been around that guy long enough now to know, is he on because the lights are on, or is he really that way when the lights are off? He's really that way when the lights are off. It's genuine. He's genuinely concerned, compassionate, curious, while having just enough Heisman Trophy statue in him to hold you at bay, but never in an awkward way where you feel funny about it. Like, if Curry weren't the beloved NBA champion that he is, they'd be taking shots at him too. And look, to an extent they do. There are a lot of people who tear into Steph for the perfect looking family life that he has, and it's a level of jealousy, but it would be intensified had the basketball bona fides not been so clear and obvious, and there's no like mistaking his kindness for weakness on the court. The man is an absolute assassin.
But the first part of any fan-player interaction is, what are you doing for me? People always talk about selfish players. It goes the other way too. And once you've said, here, I got your parade, you can be anything. I mean, Draymond Green is...
Except for Aubrey Huff.
True, but, he played his way out of that.
He sure did. He backed himself right out of that garage.
Draymond Green, who many people find loathsome because he always talks, if he didn't have rings, nobody would care what he had to say.
No one.
Because the deal is always, give me what I want first, then I'll decide if you're a good guy.
We have an awful lot coming up in the longest commercial-free segment of the entire day, so I want you to stick around. You will be enticed by what you're going to hear from Steve Kerr, what Steve Kerr had to say about what Stephen A. Smith had to say. And, of course, we will be circling back to the NFL because a few other things need to be gotten to, including Brett Favre going to prison. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that happens, and we'll tell you why a little bit later on. Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game, brought to you by Fremont Bank. Full service banking, no compromises.
Hey, Becky, what about this beat for your next song?
It's cool, but I'm into faster stuff lately, like Xfinity that gives me beyond gig speeds.
Got it. What about this then?
It sounds powerful, just like Xfinity. Because its supersonic Wi-Fi has 3 times the bandwidth, you can connect hundreds of devices at once.
That's what I call power.
Unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Made to do anything so you can do anything.
Get the Xfinity Supersonic Bundle with unlimited gig speed internet, Wi-Fi equipment included, and a free 4K streaming box. All for $50 a month with a 2-year internet rate guarantee and no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/gig, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. New Gigabit Extra internet customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes wireless usage. After 24 months, regular rates apply. Requires compatible Xfinity gateway.
Great cars and great customer experience are what define a great dealership. At BMW of Fairfield, we deliver on both counts. BMW of Fairfield is the top-rated BMW dealership in the Bay Area, according to Google reviews. We love selling the ultimate driving machines, but our success rests on the outstanding experience we provide our customers. It's a better way to buy and own a vehicle. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
This is your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort. To rock and to roll. Over the hills and bluffs. Go all out or go all in. With 4 stars and rising stars. Now we do more than ever, so you can do as much or as little as you want. It's your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Right now, you can get free carpet installation from the Home Depot. So while we're putting in your new carpet, you'll have more time to take care of the lawn. Get started on dinner. Or just lay down and relax on your new carpet after it's installed. Get your free carpet installation started with the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
Are you looking for a rewarding new career? Join the United States Postal Service and apply for roles nationwide. Serve your community with pride and receive benefits including competitive pay and opportunities for advancement. Whether you are looking for full-time, part-time, or seasonal positions, we have options that may be perfect for you. The United States Postal Service is an equal opportunity employer. Apply now at USPS.com/careers.
Are you ready for your palm reading, my dear?
Yeah, let's do this.
I sense that you crave something.
More reliable.
Right. You know you deserve better and want out of a relationship.
Yes, with my big name wireless carrier.
You're who now?
My big name wireless carrier. That's why I switched to Xfinity Mobile. Now I get unlimited with 5G for $30 per month on the most reliable 5G network.
Let's talk about your aura. It's so...
And get this. They can even save you hundreds a year on your wireless bill over T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon.
Wow, that's actually really impressive.
Yep, but you already knew that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw this coming.
Start seeing savings today. Switch to the fastest mobile service, Xfinity Mobile. Now with the best price on 2 lines of unlimited, just $30 a line per month. Switch today. Xfinity Internet required. Price comparison for 2 unlimited lines under available 5G pricing plans of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds up to 20 gigabytes of usage per line. Most reliable based on root metrics. US report. Comcast analysis of mobile Wi-Fi and cellular data from Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Q2 2022.
Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
You want Odyssey podcasts? You need Odyssey podcasts, and you're only going to get them if you download Odyssey and its app. The Odyssey app, available on the internet, just like everything else these days. Everything you need, it's right there. Just touch the internet. It'll either happen automatically on your phone or computer, or they'll ship it to you, and it'll be there overnight. Really is a hell of a world we're living in. Damon and Ratto, it is great to have you here. We are guest-free the rest of the way today. Again, your rare opportunity to talk to the boss himself. Matt Nahagian is screening calls today. Drew the short straw. Ha, Matt. You know what's really odd? And tomorrow's Friday before a big football weekend, which means tomorrow's show is... Well, it's already almost achieving it. Let's be honest. It's going to happen. It's going to happen early in the show. It's going to happen throughout the show, and it'll be the feel of the entire show tomorrow.
Maximum football!
Today, we do have a couple of other things to get to. Other things that are significant. So such as, I should say, we do have the Yankees-Red Sox game on in here. Aaron Judge was walked the first time up. Yankee Stadium loved that, by the way. They were really thrilled that the Red Sox pitched around him. So we'll keep you abreast of any and all Aaron Judge potentially historic home runs. But we got ourselves a Golden State Warrior team, Ray, that honestly, they look more and more like a model franchise by the season, just based on how adept they are to never sidle up to controversy. Controversy never comes looking for them. They never go looking for controversy. It's either, okay, Draymond Green popped off, but that's not even associated with the Warriors anymore. It's just Draymond Green popping off. And that's the closest thing they get to like controversy or spicy or anything. How many lifetimes do you think you and I would need to live before we saw the headline, Steve Kerr possibly suspended for a year due to an inappropriate at-work relationship?
A week from Wednesday.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, the Boston thing, they've had one of the worst off seasons for a team that got to the finals in a long time.
Yes, they have. That's kind of what I want to talk about.
They bungled the Durant trade rumor, because apparently they did offer Jaylen Brown, much to Jaylen Brown's chagrin, and then it fell through anyway.
Bungled their own locker room a little.
Yeah, and now Ime Udoka is...
Oh, you missed something. Remember, their acquisition was Gallinari, and he's torn his ACL playing a game that nobody cared about over in Europe.
Yeah, but, that's just bad luck. The other stuff,
part of a bad offseason, is it not?
Well, true. But, that was so far down on my list of things that I thought...
That's why I'm here, to improve your lists.
Well, you're a much better human being than I am, which is a low bar to clear. But the Ime Udoka thing is stunning because they couldn't have dealt with it worse.
Well, have they even dealt with it yet?
Well, no, it's now being genuinely assumed by most people who are reporting it that he's going to be suspended for a year, and they all believe it's going to be a news dump late Friday afternoon. That's a bad way to handle that.
It is.
Secondly, if what he's accused of doing is in fact true, and that the rumors that in fact one of the women he was involved with was the wife of one of the Celtics executives.
Well, it was that. I'm not going to go identifying any names, but I've already got I've got a picture of her on my phone already. It's been sent to me. I've heard the wrinkles. I know sort of what happened. And we're all about to find out some stuff when this comes out.
Well, all I'm saying is that would be instantly fireable. You could fire somebody for cause and never pay them for that. So they're putting this in this weird sort of limbo where it's really awful, but it's not so awful that we're going to get rid of them. And in doing it the way they've done it, they have caused every woman in their front office to be questioned as to their own virtue.
Yes.
By the crap heads of the internet.
The unintended consequence of this story leaking out was a barrage of internet sleuths trying to find the woman employed by the Celtics that might be involved with Ime Udoka. And there is one woman who completely scrubbed her social media account, and that sort of is the tip of the clue that it's her.
But when Mark Spears has to put out tweets saying it's definitely not this person,
right? It's not that person. It's what that is. It's that person calling Mark Spears saying, "Hey, do you think you can get my name off the hook?" That's probably what that is.
It might be. I don't know how he got it. That sounds like a plausible way for it to have happened.
Here's the thing that I cannot crucify the Celtics for the way that this came out. I know everyone's looking to blame the organization. I don't think the organization put this out. I think it was the very, very pissed off husband. And doesn't that make the most sense? This is a man scorned by an affair with a wife and a coach. Now, if she works for the team too, it feels like they would both have to get the exact same suspension, because if you're suspending him not for doing anything that wasn't consensual, everything was consensual, whether it was moral or not, that's for you to decide. Actually, it's not for you to decide. It's not moral, but they went ahead and they did it. Adults will be adults, and if it was consensual, what you gonna do? I don't think the Celtics put this out. I think it was a really pissed off husband.
Well, however it got out, I'm not talking about, the fact that they knew this was going on. You don't wait for it to get leaked. Because it certainly seems like they're deciding the punishment based on it getting out rather than it being a breach of contract or a breach of terms of employment. When you get something like that, and again, we're assuming that this is all true.
Well, hold on.
So,
let me just catch up everyone who might have been at work today and you're not sure exactly what we're talking about. The Boston Celtics, you might have heard of them. They were just in the NBA Finals with the Golden State Warriors, having come off an exemplary year that a lot of people said Ime Udoka pulled out of them with a fabulous second half. And to me, Udoka had, in 1 year, elevated himself into the top 10 of NBA coaches. I mean, he did a hell of a job. And he seemed to be sort of a fire and brimstone. Nobody gets soft on my watch. I'm going to be a demanding coach. I think he would have broken Kevin Durant's spirit in half had that trade ever gone through, by the way. But the Celtics are now mulling a season-long suspension for their head coach, Ime Udoka, because they discovered he had an intimate relationship with a team employee. This team employee, if I indeed do have the right person identified, is married to yet another team employee. So we have a little bit of a Boston Celtics love triangle that the husband might not have been a part of. What is going to happen next? I mean, can President of Basketball Operations Brad Stevens come in and save the day? Could that be the balm that makes this a little less of a burn if it really does go down the way we think it might? Because Udoka's top assistant, he left. He's the head coach of the Jazz now. So the guy that would have slid over one chair isn't even there anymore. And, this is such an unforeseen turn of events. Udoka went from becoming the first rookie head coach to win multiple playoff Game 7s to now possibly suspended for the entire year. Again, to suspend a coach for another year. How does he walk back into that locker room at any point in time with gravitas? I mean, you might as well just let him go. You might as well just let him go. And to me, you could also say, well, it takes two to tango. She tangoed too. And if we're not firing her and we're not suspending her for a year, we probably shouldn't do that for you either. And you know what? We just chalk this up to disgusting adultness and play on. I know I would do that. I would call everyone in the... If I ran the Boston Celtics, what's the owner's name? You know the name of every owner. Wick
Grousbeck.
Wick or Grousbeck. If I'm Wick Grousbeck, I call everybody in the room, including HR, and I say, anyone about to file a lawsuit? Is anybody about to file a lawsuit? Is this going to go legal? Because if it ain't going legal, we are way too close to an NBA season to be doing something like this. So we're all going to be stiff upper lips adults about this. You go to marriage counseling. Udoka, put it back in your pants. I'm sure Nia would want it that way. And tip it up, baby. Tip it off. I mean, is there a real victim here? Other than the HR rep who had to deal with this crap. Is there a real victim here? Did he go out of his way to use his status in the organization to put this woman in a situation where she felt like if I don't do the dance, I might lose my job? If there's no sexual harassment here, if there is no power play going on here, just two kids bumping uglies in the middle of the night. Celtics are thinking they're going to go back to the NBA Finals, man. If I were the owner of the Celtics, I would call everybody and be like, we good? Because if we're not good, okay, I guess we got things to do. But if we're good, well, let's play basketball.
But how many people do you call in to say, are we good?
HR and the three adults involved.
Well, stories never stay within the three adults involved or with HR. Somebody always gets wind of it. And
we'll worry about that when it happens.
Well, that's the problem. When you worry about it when it happens, it blows up on you. If you have a standard and it says you don't, have sex with a coworker, and I'm not saying, I don't know if they do, but if that seems to be the linchpin on which the suspension is supposed to be happening.
It's why we're not sleeping together.
Well, one of the reasons. But if that's the linchpin, and that's a corporate decision by the Celtics, if you break that, that's a fireable offense.
It is.
And you don't sit there and wait for the PR to get bad. That's how things get worse. You deal with it right away. Again, there's a whole lot we don't know about this. But if that statute's in the contract of everybody who works for the Celtics, and it's violated knowingly,
then both parties have to go.
Yeah.
He and she.
That said, they're trying to sort of split this in half. Oh, we'll just suspend. I have a feeling it's a suspension that becomes a firing.
On the YouTube chat, a guy named Chris says the Celtics should just call the host of cheaters and settle this. I remember that show. That show was disgusting and entertaining all at the same time. Sort of like this. Welcome to your 5 o'clock hour.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Damn well better be free.
As I told you, the Warriors Media Day is coming up on Sunday. For whatever reason, Steve Kerr and Bob Myers sort of got ahead of it today. What do we know why that happened? Why normally guys who speak at Media Day came out 2 days before Media Day to have a media moment? I don't know. I don't know why this happened. I know that Raymond Ritter got a Barry Larkin batting helmet. You don't need to know any details. You can just trust me that happened today. Maybe the interesting things that did come from why ever Steve Kerr and Bob Myers were talking today is about the team, about how it's going to be built going forward. Obviously, Bob Myers was asked about a very expensive offseason that could come up soon for the Warriors, and he framed it all as this is a good problem to have.
Well, we want all those guys. Can we get them all? I don't know. It depends on what the money ends up being, what the ask is, what we can do. We're not at a point to make those decisions yet. Where it ends up, the more I've been in this, the more I realize there's no absolutes. I could sit here and say, we want this, we want that. Some of these decisions may be made in the next 2 weeks, and some might be made in 7-8 months. And the information that we have then will be helpful as far as making those. And then it's a negotiation, to be honest. But we like them all. I'm not going to like them in order for you. That doesn't do me any good, but we like them all.
We're talking about Jordan Poole, obviously. We're talking about Andrew Wiggins. And if we can be quite honest, both of those are 100% Joe Lacob's reaching deep in his pockets to bring them both back. The flip of the coin is Draymond. That's the one that is going to, I think, cause the most amount of stress and headache because we all know what he's done. But what will his body allow him to continue to do is a legitimate question that has to be debated by all sides in a legitimate way. Draymond revealed elements of his back issue last year it's nerve damage. It's a spine that is running out of the cushion discs in between vertebrae, which caused nerve damage, which led to the sciatic pain. And I know all about this because I live in that neighborhood too. I have shredded the discs between my lower vertebrae, and I've already had one discectomy. It stinks to have a bad lower back. It really does. And this is from a guy who works sitting down talking to Ray for 3 hours every day. I'm not playing against Ray Allen for 3 hours. Well, no one's playing against Ray Allen anymore, but you get my point. An NBA life is a much different life than a talk show radio host's life, and I can tell you that my back is killing me. So how long is it going to be before Draymond lives in that world, too? This is all things that need to be considered. Bob Myers said that when they get back from Tokyo, they will be sitting down with Jordan Poole and his reps.
We're going to meet with his representatives, I think, after Tokyo and sit down for the first time and start having that conversation. And I think that's about 2 weeks out from the deadline for him. Where that'll go, I don't know. I know that they want to meet, and I know we want to meet. And then we'll see what the next 2 weeks give us.
And then, of course, eventually, Draymond and Andrew Wiggins, where are they in the plans?
Meetings are all great. These are nice people. I saw Draymond, I saw Rich Paul the other night. But again, can negotiate about buying your car. But if I know I have 2-3 weeks until you decide what you want to do, it's real, but it's not you don't force a decision. Sometimes things get done prior to a deadline. You see guys that are extended in certain situations, but in many times it does approach a deadline. A couple of these guys don't have a specific one. Jordan does, but they've all been good. The good news for us is I don't hear anybody that wants to leave. That'd be a worse problem if they said, I don't want to be here. I'm out of here at the end of the year, or I don't want to be here, trade me. Not hearing any of that. So the goal will be to try to figure it out the best we can.
It is pretty unique. How many NBA teams are being drowned in players who desperately want to stay? That's a good problem to have. It really, truly is. One more note, and I'm going to let Steve Kerr come in here because he is saying that they're absolutely leaving a seat at the table for Andre Iguodala if he wants it.
I'm just hopeful. Beyond that, I really don't know what Andre's going to do. He's been in here working out and kind of getting training staff to work with him and look at him, and I think he's getting a feel for what he wants to do. And we told him from the beginning, take as long as you want, and so he's taking his time, and that's fine. So we'll see.
Now, look, I already know how cynical fans think. I work with Mr. Cynic, and I got a cynical mind in my way too. One of my questions would be, is waiting around for Draymond costing you an opportunity to add a player? Is waiting around for Iguodala's decision going to cost you an opportunity to come to another player, to bring in another player into the mix? And Bob Myers was all over that today.
He's earned that right to make his own decision. We want to have him make the decision. We don't want to force him into something, and then 2 weeks later he says, I'm not up for this. So we're waiting, and we haven't had something we have foregone that we really like. So we haven't put pressure on him to say, listen, we got this other thing we really want to do. You got to tell us. We haven't done that. We haven't had that. But you may see it, you may not. There's so much he does that is not on the court. And there's a lot he does on the court too. And it's really hard to find that kind of stability and leadership on a team that he brings, even for Steve and myself. I mean, I can go talk to Andre, and he just knows. He's really smart. He knows our team. He's a true professional. He understands the league. He's seen a lot. And the guy played in, 6 out of the last 7 I don't know how many finals. He's crazy. He's someone you want around. If it was up to me, we'd keep him around a long time, even if he wasn't playing.
Andre Iguodala has appeared in more NBA finals than any player in NBA history who hasn't worn a Celtics or Lakers jersey at one point in their careers. It's really amazing. It's really amazing how often he is around success or success is around him. I know that he was at Dreamforce, the big Salesforce convention, because Jillian saw him there. She just told me. She was like, I saw Andre Iguodala the other day. I was like, great. Stay away from him because I know you have a huge crush. We have one more just sort of thing about the Warriors, and then we got piping, hot, fresh sound from Jimmy Garoppolo.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
We already had Steve Kerr on today, we already had Tim Kawakami on today. And earlier, Steve Kerr appeared on Tim Kawakami's podcast. Always an interesting conversation, worth your listen. Remember when Stephen A. Smith said this about Jonathan Kuminga?
I'm worried about Kuminga. I'm hearing too many things about him off the court in terms of his head, the level of discipline that he lacks. You understand? Some of the foolishness. I'm not getting in his personal business. I'm not saying nothing like that. I'm talking attitude. I'm not talking actions. I'm saying that attitude, the level of focus, commitment, determination, just putting your head down, doing the work. I'm hearing that he's shortchanging the Warriors in that regard, and he got to get his act together because I'm a Jonathan Kuminga fan.
Again, so when that statement was made, I reached out to 3 or 4 guys. It probably wouldn't take a Sherlock Holmes level detective to come up with the names of those 3 or 4 guys who I reached out to. And I just said, have you heard anything about Kuminga and having a funny offseason or being disinterested or hard to reach or anything like that? And everyone collectively was like, nah, I don't know where Stephen A. Smith picked up that one and ran with it today. Tim Kawakami asked Steve Kerr about this on his podcast.
I know there was that weird report that came out. I think Stephen A. Smith said something about JK. And I, honestly, Bob and I, when that came out, we called each other and asked each other, like, where did that come from? Because it made no sense. Because JK has been great. He's done everything we've asked of him. He's working hard. He's right where he needs to be be. And it's just, he's got to just keep getting better every day. But we're very happy with his summer and everything he committed to.
So there you go. Now, what else is Steve Kerr supposed to say, right? I mean, if Jonathan Kuminga were having his feet up in a lazy boy right now having a cocktail, he has to say that. But I believe him. And everyone who covers this team had no idea where Stephen A. Smith got that one from. Any speculation on your end?
I don't know, because
feeding the beast? Just feeding the beast.
No, I don't know that it couldn't have come from the Warriors, not necessarily Kerr or Myers, just for the sake of deniability. Maybe they wanted to get a message out saying, we'd really like you to work harder at this.
I know that they want him to rebound harder.
However they define it.
Right.
All I'm saying is the fact that, it didn't come directly from Kerr, because I cannot imagine Kerr or Myers calling up Stephen A. Smith and saying, by the way, will you float this one out for us? I mean, the number of places it could have come from, even within the organization, are fairly numerous. That said, however it got out, the message was pretty clear that whatever it is he's doing seems insufficient, and it sort of meshes with the way he was used in the postseason, which was sparingly, if at all. Now, either that's because they didn't trust him to do anything other than get in foul trouble, or maybe this was their way of saying, you're not ready for this yet.
I mean, I don't even know if it was an indictment if you're not ready. It's just we have a very deep bench of guys who clearly are.
Well, but in terms of what they needed, they could have used another big guy for situations, because they certainly weren't going to get that from Weissman. And, playing small as much as they did, I'm sure is not entirely to Steve Kerr's liking, but that was the best option he had. So what I'm suggesting is that it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody connected with the team whispered it to somebody who knew it would get back to Stephen A. Smith.
There you go. So we're now playing a game of telephone.
It's in the realm of possibility is all I'm saying. Because you either believe it's something like that, you believe that Stephen A. Smith made it up out of whole cloth, in which case you have to ask the question, why is he bothering with a Jonathan Kuminga rumor? Or it came from a third source, and then you have to wonder, well, why is the third source this keen on throwing Kuminga's name into the shredder? And I don't see where that's a big, news grabber.
Jimmy Garoppolo talking about fixing the injury. He knows an awful lot about it. He's had a few in his career, and Jimmy Garoppolo today was talking about what Trey Lance needs to do. What Trey Lance needs to do, how he needs to set his mentals as he's about to go through what he's about to go through. I told you that we would be right back to So here we go, Jimmy.
I heard Bosa's presser the other day, and he worded it pretty well, because there is a moment where you feel like your life is over and you feel like, I can never get back to where I was, but that passes, and it just, you got to hit a point where it does pass and you mentally move on from that, and there will be hurdles for him to overcome, but I've been around Trey for a couple of years now. He's a tough dude, so he'll be all right.
So instead of being just asked about Jimmy, what are you going to do now? There were a lot of questions about Trey Lance today. One of them being, what can he do as he rehabs to actually become a better quarterback?
The mental stuff. I mean, he's already been in a couple meetings with us through Zoom and stuff like that. So, whatever you can do mentally, physically, it's it's tough right now, but he'll get back.
All right. So, Jimmy, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you and what you are going to do now that you are the man again here for the 49ers. When it comes to letting her rip, will you? Again, we asked Kyle Juszczyk, and by the way, Best of 95.7 The Game tonight at 6 o'clock will begin with the Kyle Juszczyk interview that Ray and I did just yesterday, and it was fantastic. Somebody on the text line who has a problem with this saying, you don't need to be replaying interviews, people can go find. It's called a best of. you have to replay something during a best of, or it's not a best of. It's live radio. So we're going to
And
have.
it's not in our window either. So you're not getting less of us, you fool. You should want less of us. Use your head.
I'm glad you like being there for the people, Ray.
Ah, the hell with the people.
Well, at least for another, 40 minutes. I'm keeping you here to 55 tonight.
Don't dare me.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Are we going to get a little evil Jimmy as we ask Kyle Juszczyk? I mean, I think that was my favorite question that we asked him. Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to go rogue and just sort of do what he wants now to win football games instead of just run it the way Kyle Shanahan says, Jimmy, I want you to run it? Well, I guess that question was asked in a slightly more delicate way. Jimmy, are you going to be attacking downfield more at today's press conference?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that go with that, obviously, but yeah, I love doing that stuff. In 17, there was a freedom where me, the receivers, tight ends, we had a good chemistry going, and when you get that with offensive skills in a quarterback, it makes for a tough offense.
Is anyone else hearing what I'm hearing? Is anyone else hearing Jimmy Garoppolo saying, if you don't like the way I play, of course I deserve some of that, but the way that I've been coached to play might deserve a little of it too. And I really hope that Jimmy is the kind of guy who isn't just sacrosanct to anything that Kyle Shanahan says, this is the way we want it done. Because all Jimmy Garoppolo at any point in time needs to do this year is say, my ankle feels funny. Have fun with Brock Purdy. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm letting it rip. Like, I'm serious. Like, whatever I'm comfortable doing on the field, I am going to do that. And a couple of things that I might be a touch uncomfortable with, but I think the moment's there, I'm going to approach that moment. I really am. What does Jimmy have to lose? What does Jimmy have to lose? His job? Impossible. As long as he's healthy, he is the starting quarterback of the 49ers the rest of the way.
But that's not him.
Did you just hear him?
I heard what he said. He could talk about what it is all he wants. But the fact is, for 3 years now, we've seen him be this guy.
Right. Those are 3 years under different circumstances than this one's under.
But no, they still are trying to get to a Super Bowl. And he's not going to buck Kyle Shanahan on this.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I mean, he's not going to.
It's what you would do.
No. I think it's what Jimmy's going to do, because Jimmy is trying to serve two masters here. Would Jimmy like to win a Super Bowl? Sure. Okay. You know what he's also trying to do? Audition for the next team. If I were Jimmy Garoppolo, what I wanted to do would be just as important as team accomplishments at this point, because what the team wanted to do was get rid of me. And now here I am wearing Superman's cape. Yeah, I'm going to dance with kryptonite if I want to.
But again, that's not who he is.
It's not what I just
Because he
heard.
knows his marketability goes up if they win it all. And I don't believe in his heart of hearts he thinks he can let it rip and have them win.
Again,
you could talk about leverage all you want.
Roll back that 2017 one more time on this soundbite.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that go with that, obviously, but yeah, I love doing that stuff. In 17, there was a freedom where me, the receivers, tight ends, we had a good chemistry going, and when you get that with offensive skills in a quarterback, it makes for a tough offense.
A freedom, Ray. Take these chains away from me and let me just play.
And Kyle Shanahan's going to say, no, we're going to do this the way I wanted to do it. And then Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a thing to say. And the reason why he doesn't have a thing to say is because ultimately that gets around to. And Jimmy Garoppolo is going to find the market will be less forgiving. If they don't win at all, and he suddenly has a reputation as a guy who likes to argue with his coach, that's not going to sell well. If he's going to enter the open market, he's got to be able to say, I did what they asked me to do.
Oh, but that's already established.
Okay, no, it's not. It's not established if he goes rogue this year.
You being the perfect little soldier. is already established. Jimmy's professionalism will not be questioned.
It will be if he decides to go rogue.
I'm not talking about going rogue, Ray. I'm not talking about now all of a sudden it's, I'm audibling out of every single running play. I'm throwing 65 times a game. I'm not saying he's doing that, but all he needs to do is say, Kyle, I thought I saw it. I took a stab. I thought I saw it. I thought I saw the right move for the team in the moment, so I did it. And that's it. I mean, that's the thing. Jimmy, I really hope his Little Lord Fauntleroy days are over. I really do. Yeah. Because I've seen what carefully measured Jimmy Garoppolo looks like. And he still makes as many mistakes as letting her rip Jimmy Garoppolo could be assumed to be made. So you might as well throw that interception, Jimmy, 55 yards downfield instead of 15 yards downfield.
It's not him. I mean, at some point you have to accept that he signed off on this.
It was him in 2017 before Kyle got his hooks in him.
And before they were any good. The fact is, Kyle Shanahan can go up to Jimmy Garoppolo and said, doing it the way I wanted to do it, we've gotten to a Super Bowl, a conference final, and you've become a guy who makes $26 million a year.
And then you took that away from me.
Yeah.
Now I'm making $6 million plus incentives. Yeah. Jag off. So we're going to do it my way now.
Well, then, I guess we'll see Brock Purdy a lot sooner than we thought.
Purdy time. Jimmy Garoppolo talked about if the Niners moving on from him has polished the chip on his shoulder.
Not really. I think it lights a fire under you. I'll tell you that. Obviously, as a competitor, whenever you get told something like that, it'll get you going a little bit. But, I have plenty of motivation. I don't need that to motivate me, but it always helps.
There you go. I mean, don't tell me it's not a little personal. At this point, it officially gets filed under this is a little personal. It's not. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I have a team goal that I'm obviously looking to work towards because I'm a good teammate, and Jimmy has been a good teammate. There's enough feedback from his teammates to confirm Jimmy Garoppolo's a good teammate. They really like him. I think Jimmy could look at this as, hey, I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm going to do what's best for... What might be best for me, by the way, could be the difference in the style of game that we're playing that finally gets us over the hump. Because doing the same thing just over and over and over again is insane. Being the ultra buttoned up, ultra conservative offense that we have seen has officially left the 49ers a few yards too short of a Super Bowl or reaching a second Super Bowl. And we've seen it. We've seen what carefully constructed Jimmy Garoppolo looks like. I'm looking for a little deconstructed Garoppolo. Might be interesting. One more quote from Jimmy today on how play calling has changed while he's been here.
I guess it's kind of, in 17, I was learning the offense. So Kyle would call some plays and I wouldn't know exactly, how to read it, I guess, but you'd kind of figure it out as you went. And I don't know, just the more and more that you learn the offense and get the knowledge of the offense, I start to figure out what Kyle's thinking and he, vice versa. But there's obviously just some back and forth between the play caller and quarterback.
I think there's going to be a little bit more back and forth between play caller and quarterback than just forth from the play caller to the quarterback. I do hope that Jimmy really weighs in, not just conversationally with what he wants to do out there, but with a throw or two, a pass or two. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Well, it hasn't worked out to this point anyways, and look what they were trying to do you as. They did you wrong, Jimmy. They did you wrong. From the day again, I didn't do Jimmy wrong. Would I have moved on from Jimmy too? Sure, but it's not my call. It is Shanahan's call. It is Shanahan's call. He made the call. He said, I'm done with him. Absolutely done with him. And then through a sequence of dominoes falling, here he is once again. If I'm Jimmy, I'm just not letting Kyle push my domino any way he wants to anymore. If I think I got an idea that is better than the one that just got sent into the huddle, damn it, I'm running it.
And I think you overestimate his willingness to do that.
I think you're underestimating it. I think you're underestimating it with ample evidence pouring into your ear right now that he is a little bit not thrilled with how this all went down. You know, what happened when you were here in 2017? Man, I was just learning. I was just kind of winging it. I think he wants to do that again. Because, by the way, when he was doing it that way, they were 5-0. They were 5-0 with a team that's worse than this.
I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo as a guy who's going to buck authority. I've never seen that in him. I don't believe it exists. I believe he's going to be the good soldier to the end, and he'll turn that into another contract with another team.
But here's the deal. Hasn't he run that version of Jimmy? Like I said, Jimmy 1.0, 2.0. This is Jimmy 3.0. It might be a different operating system from here on out.
Except that you're casting the last 3 years as failure, when in fact they are one overthrown pass and one dropped interception from at least one ring and a second trip to the Super Bowl. So maybe one more pass, one more play that were different could be the difference in everything. And if I'm Jimmy, that's the way I'm thinking. And I don't doubt that if you're Jimmy, that's the way you're thinking. But that's not Jimmy, and I don't believe it's the way he's thinking. I believe he's going to go down, however this goes down, as the same guy he's always been, as the coachable, relatively obedient guy that everybody likes. Doesn't operate in stress or friction. I think this is who he is. He's shown you who he is, and I think he's going to stay that.
I think players change. I don't think any one person remains the exact same person they were under different circumstances year after year after year, especially when you just got them as large a screw you as the Niners actually gave him. So I don't know. I hope you're wrong. I hope I'm right, because it could be the difference in, well, the year ended without a championship and the year became more interesting. This is David in Redwood City. David, you're on 95.7 The Game. What do you got?
Hey, guys. You know what? At some point during the Super Bowl, I kind of thought about Jimmy G just saying, you know what, the heck with this. I'm not about to lose this Super Bowl. And I think that him following this being obedient thing actually kept him from winning the Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure that he's going to get out of town. Okay, not because of him, but because of his agent. He's the one that is actually going to negotiate a better deal somewhere else where he's going to be treated better. If he loses the Super Bowl, you're going to have one.
David, if he wins the Super Bowl, David, I'm sorry. If he wins the Super Bowl, he is going to get another contract from the 49ers, and they will put more money in front of him than any other team.
Yeah, but if he were to lose, I can almost guarantee you that a large part of the fandom and even some people around football will be looking at him one way, and they'll be looking at Kyle Shanahan with his squinty eyes. Did you guys lose the Super Bowl because of Jimmy G, or was it your play calling? Because at this time, I think Kyle honestly has lost some part of his reputation. They are not looking at him the same way they were looking at him before. Because, like I said, the way they did Jimmy G, they really did him dirty. And the way they have been using Trey Lance, I don't think that it has been to the benefit of his development as a QB. So I don't know. You guys tell me what you think.
David, thank you for the call. Look, we've been telling you what we think all show. It's what we do.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy's about to. Here's the thing. I don't know what's about to happen, but if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, if I'm going to go down in a Niner uniform, I'm going to go down my way, not just Kyle's way. I'm not going to do anything to sink the ship intentionally. I'm not going to be reckless. I'm not going to be negligent. I'm not going to throw out a game plan and install the one I want in. But the wrinkle might be I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with my arm. Everyone says that I got a good deep ball, and then we never actually see it. So do you have one? Do you have one? You know, what if all of a sudden he and a player that he's had no playing time with, Danny Gray, have a little connection? What if 3 weeks from now, the two of those guys are completely on the same page, and that guy is a go route and a threat of six almost every single time he snaps? Maybe Jimmy notices that. Maybe things change. Maybe 5 more running backs get hurt this week. And they'll have no choice but to have Jimmy be putting it in the air 50 times because now your backfield is essentially Marlon Mack, who, by the way, was promoted today to the team's active roster. And guess who is back? Tevin Coleman is back on the team's practice squad. So there wasn't going to be a moment about this season that wasn't going to be interesting. The first 2 weeks of this season have been more interesting than people are even comfortable with. And now we're going to start playing some football. That's the one thing I'm looking forward to. Like, week 3 is week 1 for the Niners. Now we're playing some football. Now we're going to get our handle around who this team really is and cross your fingers, decent conditions in Denver. So it's not going to be, but it was a weather event. I want straight up, fair across the board, your best against my best football. And then hopefully we get that again Monday night next week, 2 weeks, against the Rams. Now we're going to find out who the Niners really are.
I think week 4 you'll find out who they are. I don't know that you'll find them out in week 3 just because I don't believe in Denver. I think they're okay when they play teams that don't do much offensively. But I think against a team with a better defense who can basically give their offense the ball for 35 minutes a game, I think Denver's going to have a problem. And I don't think this is the test that people think it's going to be. I think next week because that's one of the few teams in the NFC that has legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. And the 49ers have the same. That's the first test they've got. Denver, if they lose to Denver, then you've got deeper problems than the quarterback.
I mean, how would they go about losing to Denver would be my first question.
Well, that's my point. I don't see how they do that.
Well,
they turned the ball over 5 times, yeah, but I think if they play their normal game, they handle Denver with some ease.
You would think Denver has yet to have a week where they have scared anyone with their offense, but this was a week where, if Nathaniel Hackett isn't over there coaching his rear end off as hard as he can, and look, he does have some working knowledge about how to attack the San Francisco 49ers. He was just coaching against them as Green Bay's offensive coordinator in the greatest punt block the 49ers have ever had in a postseason win at Lambeau Field. So Hackett is familiar with this team, and maybe that brings out a better week of the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson, by the way, as soon as he sees a 49ers jersey, the only thing he does is win. That's it. 49ers versus Russell Wilson. Niners usually win that or lose that game. They have trouble with him. Now, will they have trouble with him in another uniform in another city? We're about to find out. We all will be watching together Sunday night. It was really something else when we had Peter King on earlier this week to listen to him sum up Nathaniel Hackett. Because, of course, there's you, it's me, it's Sports Talk Radio. Might be exaggerating about how bad that was for the sake of Sports Talk Radio. Peter King doesn't do a lot of exaggerating for the sake of Sports Talk Radio. And here's what he had to say about Nathaniel Hackett belly flopping his debut in 2 weeks, with one of them even being a victory.
Here's the thing that shocks me about the first 2 weeks of the season. Nathaniel Hackett is a straight-A student. He's the valedictorian. And he has coached the first 2 games of the year like he belongs kept back for a year in school. And the decisiveness in the play calling, the fact that 15 times Russell Wilson has had to sprint to get a play called before it goes to 0 on the play clock. In 2 weeks, it's absolutely mind-boggling that he's having so much trouble with the simplest decisions in the game. And it's mind-boggling that 1 week he says our goal is to get to the 46-yard line so we could kick a 64-yard field goal. And then the next week he eschews a field goal in better altitude where the ball goes farther from the 41-yard line. I want to give the guy a fair chance, but his first 2 games are about as bad as a coach can have in its first 2 games. And it's crazy. It's crazy what has happened here. And again, I don't want to throw him out with yesterday's garbage yet. Give him a chance. But, man, he should have been a lot more ready to be an NFL head coach than he is.
It was bad. It was officially bad. There's no doubt about that. And, Ray, you don't have very long to make or protect your reputation, and be careful with your reputation because you only get one of them. You really do. So this is a huge game and week for the Broncos, and they know it. And it is a huge game and week for the 49ers. This is a really outstanding Sunday night football game that we got coming.
Potentially outstanding. But
anything could go wrong in the live sporting event.
I think Denver could be such a bring down that the game will be an entertainment disappointment.
Maybe.
I don't believe in Denver at all, I guess is what I'm saying. That said, you're right. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and he's made the same impression in back-to-back weeks. So from this moment on, Nathaniel Hackett will be known as the guy who can't handle strategy.
There really isn't any reason to spend much time on it. So I'm going to slip it into the show right here. Because we're talking about reputations and how quickly you can damage a reputation. How anyone is in business with Brett Favre today is a disgrace to any business that is in Brett Favre, in the business of being in business with Brett Favre today. Like Tiger Woods slept with his wife and basically, or slept with someone other than his wife, several women other than his wife, and essentially had every sponsorship essentially taken away from him. Brett Favre is hawking Copperfit and Levi or Lee jeans or whatever, and Wrangler, or maybe that was it, and I think there's some Bible app that he is now pushing. This man needs to be pushed into prison. I don't know how much you have seen of this story, but it ain't good for Brett. He 100% knew that his actions in the state of Mississippi were illegal. His actions were looking to get $5 million from the state welfare agency that he wanted to use for a volleyball court at his daughter's college. Former Mississippi Welfare Director John Davis has agreed to cooperate with investigators, and that means Favre's in for it. Because Davis had previously been indicted for more than 24 state and federal charges as part of the scheme. Nancy New, who was another woman involved in this, was the head of the nonprofit used to funnel the welfare funds. She has already pled guilty to 13 different felonies, and they are going to information dump on Brett Favre. Because let's face it, those two names that I just used, John Davis and Nancy New, mean nothing. Brett Favre is now the target of this investigation, you would think. Wire fraud, at the very, very least, is what he's guilty of. Favre's attorney, Bud Holmes, denied that Favre knew that he was accepting money from the state welfare funds. But unfortunately for Brett, we have texts where he says, and I quote, "Would anybody be able to determine who paid me and how much?" In other words, all the criming that you have just done, Brett, can completely be traced back to you, and you knew exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly where it was coming from, and you even asked the question, could anybody find this out? I hope he does multiple years in prison.
He stole from the poor.
The poorest of the poor, in the poorest state in the union.
He just said, no, I need a volleyball court.
My daughter needs a volleyball court.
Well, but ego being what it is, he was living vicariously through his daughter, therefore he needed a volleyball court.
Isn't this man a multimillionaire so many times over that $5 million cracking off for a volleyball court that then gets his name put on it was in the realm of that could happen? The answer is yes. But instead of spending his own money, he thought he would spend the money of a whole bunch of hungry children.
It's not that he got the money, it's where he got it from.
Of course.
And that's the whole point. It's if he basically, defrauded the government, I'm sure he'd pay a fine and that would be it. But when you actively take from the least fortunate to benefit yourself, Jail seems perfectly appropriate.
Yeah.
And not just a friendly, happy jail. A jail where you get to find out what it's like to wear orange every day.
Yeah, one of those jails is as soon as you get in there, you think to yourself, I'm not going to be here. And then you are for years, and it's just miserable. That's where I'd like Brett to go. That man deserves jail time.
I mean, this is as easy as it gets because he's not only essentially being caught stealing from the poor, he's been caught because he's stupid. You know, if you were an accomplished criminal, and maybe this is part of his defense, do you really believe that somebody would do that in public? And the answer to that is yes.
It's really something else. Really, really something else. We have one more segment left until we are going to start the best of 95.7 The Game with the conversation that Ray and I had yesterday with Kyle Juszczyk, which is outstanding. He's fantastic. You're going to want to hear it if you're a 49ers fan. We get into all the particulars of what the hell happened last weekend. So stick around for all that. And when we do come on back, a tarmac firing may have officially been trumped this week in college football, plus the single best soundbite from a football coach you're going to hear all week. That is how we wrap up today's show. That's what we're going to do next year on 95.7 The Game. And if you are looking to have yourself a really nice fall vacation, by the way, it's fall, everybody, or it's going to be fall in another 5 minutes or 10, top of the hour, I believe. Around 6 o'clock tonight, it officially becomes fall. We have an idea for you. If you're planning a trip to San Diego this fall, why don't you start by checking out sandiego.org.
Your most valuable asset is your time. So why should buying a car eat up your whole day? At BMW of Fairfield, we value your time as much as you do. So once you've decided on your next car and how you want to buy it, we'll have you behind the wheel of your ultimate driving machine and on your way home within 1 hour. There is a better way. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
Hey, Becky, what about this beat for your next song?
It's cool, but I'm into faster stuff lately. Like Xfinity that gives me beyond gig speeds.
Got it. What about this then?
It sounds powerful, just like Xfinity. Because its supersonic Wi-Fi has 3 times the bandwidth, you can connect hundreds of devices at once.
That's what I call power.
Unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Made to do anything so you can do anything.
Get the Xfinity Supersonic Bundle with unlimited gig speed internet, Wi-Fi equipment included, and a free 4K streaming box. All for $50 a month with a 2-year internet rate guarantee and no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/gig, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. New Gigabit Extra internet customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes wireless usage. After 24 months, regular rates apply. Requires compatible Xfinity gateway.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go online at carsforkids.org to donate today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Come into Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill September 23rd through September 25th for their fall clearance sale event. Take advantage of factory direct prices, one-of-a-kind opportunities, special pricing on floor models, and convenient financing. And save on new appliances from trusted brands like Miele, Bosch, Electrolux, LG, and Maytag. Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill for their fall clearance sale event, September 23rd through September 25th, for the best time to save on new appliances for your home.
The following is an attorney advertisement. If you get sidelined by a workplace injury, the workers' compensation attorneys at Boxer & Gerson can help get you back in the game. Our team of skilled attorneys will fight by your side for the treatment and compensation you deserve. We care about justice for injured workers. That's what makes us Northern California's premier workers' comp law firm. Call Boxer & Gerson at 510-345-2341 or visit boxerlaw.com for a free consultation. Boxer & Gerson, your life is worth the fight.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free, so you can drive with peace of mind. Restrictions apply.
Here's what happened today on The Game. Presented by the County of Santa Clara. The morning roast from 6 to 9.
But Shanahan is the play caller. Shanahan needs to be in lockstep with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the growth I need to see moving forward.
Willard and Dibbs from 9 to noon.
You wanted to strip Kyle of some things.
Just player personnel.
Player personnel.
Because he drafted a quarterback that he doesn't trust.
Steiny and Guru from noon to 3.
They ruined us last year.
You guys better make it to the Super Bowl because I want to go.
Steiny, you knew what State Farm
I dare the station to try to keep me home this year.
Listen, hey, you might want to reel that in.
And Damon and Ratto from 3 to 6.
Is Kyle Shanahan the Jimmy Garoppolo of NFL head coaches?
I think Shanahan is one of the 8 best coaches in the league.
The best of the game, presented by the County of Santa Clara. Book a COVID-19 booster shot now at sccfreevax.org or call 211. Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Just to let you know what is indeed going on at Yankee Stadium tonight, Aaron Judge comes up for the second time in this game, and he had 2 aboard, so there was a place to put him. Give it up to the Celtics. Or, excuse me, don't give it up to the Celtics, who had a pretty rough day today. Give it up to the Red Sox, who actually pitched to Aaron Judge and just struck him out. So
it was his 3rd time up, by the way.
Oh, 3rd time up. What did he do in his first at? I know he walked. 2 walks, and now this? Yep. Okay, 2 walks and a strikeout for Aaron Judge. We have just a few minutes remaining here today, and I got to tell you that the tarmac firing may have been trumped this weekend in college football. Obviously, the tarmac firing, Lane Kiffin infamously sacked from USC on the tarmac following a 62-41 loss to Arizona State back in 2013. Remember that, Ray?
I am aware of it.
Lane Kiffin getting his right on the tarmac. Well, Arizona State plays a role into this too. Herm Edwards, he just got let go by the Sun Devils. Got let go after the game, and he might have even been let go in the end zone of Sun Devil Stadium. The lip readers on the internet are trying to figure out that right after he finished his loss to Eastern Michigan, two muckety-mucks from Arizona State greeted Herm Edwards right there in the end zone and were talking to him in a very sort of compassionate, hushed tone, conciliatory, patting him on the back, and thank you for everything is sort of the one thing that lip readers sort of picked up on. Did Herm Edwards get fired in the end zone at Sun Devil Stadium this past weekend? Because that might be the only thing that's worse than a tarmac firing, is it not?
I think what they did was tell him it was coming, which is a small walk away from just firing him in the end zone. But thank you for everything. After you've lost to Eastern Michigan, it's essentially saying you're going to get to meet with the athletic director tomorrow.
Oh, no, the athletic director was one of the guys. Yes. Yeah, so you had two guys going up to Herm and basically saying, thanks for everything, and then what? Then they're going to walk him back into his office and do the deed? They might have done it right there.
Well, it might have been. Thank you for everything, though. I mean, if that's the phrase, it's either the kiss of death or it's putting on the lip gloss.
It really is. By the way, along with this Aaron Judge, we're waiting on a home run game that we have on in the studio. We also have on NBA TV. I mean, I can't even figure out what year this is, but Baron Davis.
02, I believe.
Is it? So Baron Davis is still a Charlotte Hornet. I've seen Jamal Mashburn in this game. I have seen Popeye Jones in this game.
Yeah. Who you've seen in this game?
Gilbert Arenas, I believe.
You've seen Michael Jordan in this game.
Is that Jordan? Oh, so then it's not Gilbert Arenas. There's Michael Jordan right there. Yeah, Jordan and Arenas didn't play together, did they?
No. How long do you think they would have coexisted?
How many gold-plated guns does Michael bring to practice?
He wouldn't have to bring them.
No, he wouldn't.
He's his own metal detector.
He really is. Anyway, maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is Michael Jordan's final game. I still can't identify. I have no idea why NBA TV is replaying this game of all games, but here they are.
Well, it's because they'll play anything they have tape of between now and the start of the preseason.
Who is that? Who? Anyway, I don't need to start playing which Washington Wizard is that when I need to play this for you. This is the best soundbite from any football coach in America this week, and it comes from Maryland head coach Michael Locksley. They've got number 4 Michigan in Ann Arbor this weekend, and I know that, if we had to boil it down to the Big Ten football teams that you care about the least, my alma mater, Indiana, is at the top of your list, and I talk about them way too much for many of your own liking. Maryland, probably a close second, right?
Don't sleep on Rutgers.
Never sleep on Rutgers. Here is Maryland head coach Michael Locksley making you care more about Maryland football than maybe you ever have before, as he talks about what he does differently or what he does not do differently as he prepares for a huge game against number 4 Michigan.
I asked them about Grandma's macaroni and cheese. I said, when she makes it on Christmas, is it any better than when she makes it on the normal Sunday dinner? And they all said no. Her macaroni and cheese is slamming. It's great. It's unbelievable. Well, who we play doesn't change. It's the consistency of how we prepare to play, which is what makes Grandma's macaroni and cheese good on Christmas Day or a regular Sunday after church. And so I've tried to get us out of this mentality of riding the wave of emotions of we prepare differently for Charlotte than we do Ohio State. We prepare differently for Michigan than we do SMU, because that's not the case as a football coach. We don't go in and say, hey, it's Michigan week. Let's all of a sudden ramp up our intensity, because that's just not how you go about building a winning program.
I will take all the grandma macaroni and cheese sports analogies that you can throw at me. That was great. What are we going to do differently? No, we do it the same every time. Just like Grandma's mac and cheese. It's slamming no matter when she serves it.
And when they lose 41-7, Grandma's going to get the blame.
But it's time to take her to the home, is it not? I mean, Grandma's getting a little... Oh, no, I love it.
Speaking of home...
Good night, sweetie.
Okay.
Tim Kawakami, thank you so much. Brandon Krisztal from Denver, thank you so much. Grandy, thank you so much. I love how Kyle Madsen said he was going to work on today's show, hung around for 10 minutes and took a powder and had Nahagian come on in and work the majority of the show.
To be fair, he obviously worked his show, Willard and Dibs, and then he hung around for Steiny and Goo as well. So this would have been the third show he worked today. So we can cut him some slack, I think.
But it would have been, in my mind, the most fun he had all day.
Yeah, probably.
So there you go. Did you have the most fun you had all day with us here, Grandma?
Oh, of course, always.
Should you and I just keep talking to like 56 just to piss off Ray?
Oh, he's probably going to walk out the door. Talk all
you want.
Yeah, Ray's about to leave no matter what I say. So
stay till 9:30. Knock yourselves out.
No, but you do want to stick around for Kyle Juszczyk, who we were joined by yesterday. And he's coming up next as we get into the best of here on 95.7 The Game.